Yeah, guys, good morning. I just got off the phone with President Trump, and he gave Fox News some brand new details on what happened with that Apache helicopter that went down earlier this week, and provided his thinking on where things stand with the negotiation. I want to start with a story the president told me, new details about the downing of this U.S. Army Apache helicopter. President Trump tells Fox News that the Iranian drone lodged in between the two pilots in this helicopter. They were flying very low. And at that point, the drone didn't explode as it had intended to. And so these pilots were trying to take down the helicopter with the drone lodged into this gunship without it exploding. And at any moment, it could have exploded, the president told me. And he said it was on fire. There was a lot of heat inside the cockpit of this helicopter. And ultimately, these two pilots were able to take it down into the sea, where ultimately they were rescued for the first time in U.S. military history by an unmanned sea drone. Now, President Trump also talked about the U.S. strikes last night against Iranian radar systems and air defense sites. He said the Iranians had tried to rebuild during the ceasefire their defensive capabilities, but they were unable to stop these U.S. strikes overnight, and they were hammered by U.S. fighter jets. Now, interestingly, President Trump told me that he is getting close to ordering new strikes against Iranian power plants and bridges, because he says the Iranians are tapping the United States along when it comes to the negotiating process. He says the bully of the Middle East is dead. And he told me I may keep going when I asked him about a possible response to the Iranian missile fire that targeted U.S. forces in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan overnight. The president said they had a chance to sign a deal and survive, indicating again that he may order new strikes against the Iranian regime in response to their dragging their feet at the negotiating table. Again, though, the latest information that we got from President Trump about that helicopter that went down earlier this week, really a remarkable story. The president called it a miracle. This drone hits the Apache helicopter, lodges between the two pilots. It's on fire, and there's a massive amount of heat coming out of the drone, but it doesn't explode. And these pilots very quickly, within seconds, because they're flying very low, take the helicopter down into the sea. And then ultimately, about 2 hours later, according to U.S. Central Command, they are rescued for the first time in U.S. military history by an unmanned sea drone. Again, the president ordering those strikes overnight to target Iranian radar systems and those air defense sites that the Iranians have tried to rebuild during the ceasefire. They weren't supposed to do that, but the president said just a few percentages of that defensive capability they were able to rebuild. And President Trump says they took out about 55% of what they were even able to rebuild. But just a remarkable story about these U.S. pilots from the Army that were able to survive this ordeal against an Iranian drone lodged into their helicopter. And again, President Trump ordering those powerful strikes overnight to send a message to the Iranian regime that he is not done. And if they are unwilling to make a deal, the president tells Fox News he may keep going.
One of the things that would stop him, that stopped him from going back, multiple things. There's people in his administration who is just concerned about the election. I can understand that, and just don't feel we should have been doing it anyway. The other thing was the Gulf states. The Gulf states were getting worried because they were being targeted, and they're worried about their oil and gas, which fuels their economy, pun intended. And at this point, it seems, Trey, by what you say and what the president just said, and what with the analysis you've offered, at this point, it seems the president says, yeah, I hear you, but it looks like it's in our best interest for me to go ahead anyway. It seems like we're getting close to that because he's able to monitor the interaction that the Iranians are having with each other, and that brings him to that conclusion.
Yes, absolutely. And the president talked about the oil prices around $80 to $90 a barrel. And remember, some analysts said they were going to be at $300. And because of the way that the president has conducted these negotiations, it has reinstalled, I think, faith in these Gulf countries who are responsible for so much of the world's crude oil production and LNG production. Remember, the Qataris account just by themselves for about 20% of the world's LNG production. I've talked with regional sources, and they say President Trump has strategic patience. And he's given the Iranians an olive branch time and time again, offering them a chance to make a good faith deal at the table to open the Strait of Hormuz, abandon their nuclear ambitions, get rid of that nuclear dust, and ultimately de-escalate the situation across the region. And the president at the same time has been calling on Gulf allies of the United States, like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar and others, to join the Abraham Accords. Because the larger vision here for President Trump is to develop an accords that will create peace across the Middle East and have these countries normalize ties with Israel. Because we saw the Israelis striking Iran just a number of days ago in response to the ballistic missile fire toward this country. But what I gathered from my conversation with the president is that he is working to exhaust all diplomatic options. Again, he has given the Iranians a chance at diplomacy, and they haven't taken it. The president said himself, all they had to do was sign, and they could survive. And they've chosen not to do so far. And that is why President Trump told me he is getting close to targeting Iran's power plants and bridges if they are unwilling to sign a deal. He told me he may keep going as it relates to the U.S. strikes overnight. And he said Iran is tapping the United States along, and he's not going to stand for it.
Trey, real quickly, because you've had the opportunity to talk with the president today, but before that as well. And you know he has a distinction. He calls some of these strikes little love taps. Did you get the impression that the president was doing the love taps to get them back to the table? Or are we past the love taps and the president is getting ready to restart the full operation?
It's a great question, and ultimately that's going to be up to President Trump. But at this point, again, he has given the Iranians a chance time and time again for more than 2 months to reach a negotiated settlement. And as the president has told me, and regional intelligence sources have told Fox News in recent weeks, this is a pretty simple deal. Iran has to sign on the dotted line, and they have two options here. They can either open the Strait of Hormuz and make these commitments as it relates to their nuclear program and export or destroy all of that enriched material, or ultimately this is going to resume into an intense military operation against the Iranian regime. Remember, last night, the majority of the U.S. strikes were focused on the southwestern part of Iran. President Trump ordered these strikes against Iranian radar systems and against air defense systems that the Iranians tried to rebuild during the ceasefire. And there are a variety of strike options on the table for President Trump. And so he maintains this leverage. He holds the cards here. And the Iranians thought for a very long time, according to intelligence sources in the region, that they could wait out President Trump. They thought that he cared about the World Cup or the midterms. Ultimately, he showed last night he cares about victory on the battlefield and about either reaching an agreement with the Iranian regime that ensures they have never have a nuclear weapon, or ultimately doing this through force. And so again, President Trump has a variety of options on the table here. But I think when we talk about this enriched material, it's a very important point here because we've been briefed by U.S. officials, and I want to just take our viewers very quickly through this process because it's important to understand how the Iranians are getting closer to weapons-grade material. When uranium ore is mined from the ground, ultimately it goes through a chemical process and it's turned into yellow cake. And then through another chemical process, that yellow cake is turned into a hexafluoride gas. And they spin that gas very rapidly in these advanced centrifuges that the Iranians had a lot of in their nuclear facilities that were targeted during Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. But as they repeat this process over and over again, the lighter particles go to the outside of these centrifuges and the heavier ones stay at the inside. And they repeat the process over and over again, and they increase the purity of this enriched material to around 60% purity. One step further, you get to 90% purity, and that is weapons-grade material for a nuclear bomb. And remember, let's rewind here. Before Operation Epic Fury began, President Trump tried again to give the Iranian regime an opportunity at a diplomatic solution. And their opening position was to tell U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff that they had enough highly enriched uranium to create 11 nuclear bombs. And so the president took them at their word and ultimately ordered Operation Epic Fury to begin. And now, once again, President Trump is trying to give the Iranians an off-ramp over and over, and they're not taking his offer. And that is why President Trump tells Fox News that he may carry on with more strikes against the Iranian regime until they're willing to sign a deal. And he says he is getting closer to targeting Iranian power plants and bridges.
Trey, if you missed the beginning of his head, he just talked to the president, and that's what the president was telling him. So we'll see. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning. Good, I don't even know what day it is, Wednesday. Good Wednesday morning to each one of you. There are some days when it's like really slow and we try to find stories. And there's other days where, oh my gosh, I can't fit it all in. There's so much happening. Obviously at 10 o'clock, President Trump is due out to sign the Secure America Act. We're going to go over that in a second here. And I've got some stuff, Melania's thing I can show you early if he's late. But let's first talk about this Iranian thing. I put up a poll, and luckily at this point, 95% of you say it's over. It's done. We've seen enough. We don't want to have any more negotiations. These people are bat poop crazy. Take them out. And then there's still a 4% of you here. Hopefully you're not trolls. So it's like, no, the innocents, the other people are going to get hurt. Well, let's say that is a Republican sample. Democrats are going to be completely the opposite, so let's not even talk about these idiots. So if 95% of people here, and let's say it's even 85% of people nationally on the right support doing what you got to do, then he's got to do what he's got to do. I would not think that anybody at this point could say he has not exhausted every opportunity to get these people to act like, adults. Everything. We've been going on. This was from February 28th. We are now in June, and here we are in June, and they still won't behave. And I use the word behave judiciously because you don't want to tell adults behave, because that's something you tell a child. Same thing you would probably tell these Carmelo Anthony parents and people, the same thing. Behave, because you're acting like children. I'll get into that later as well. But right now you have an entire regime. We don't know who's in charge, and they're not behaving. You're sitting there and you're looking up at this big giant dog that's ready to rip your face off, and you're swinging at it, you're swatting at it. I mean, one of our Maltese that we used to have before she passed on, she ran into a vet one day and she took on a Great Dane. And the Great Dane was like, I'm gonna eat you. That's what Iran is. They want to nip at your heels and just keep going and keep lobbing bombs and keep doing missiles, even though you're like, stop, I don't want to have to eat you. Meanwhile, I think we're at that point. Let me show you something. Excuse me. I want to show you something chronologically that President Trump has posted, because I think the chronological order of these posts speaks volumes. Last night at 10:36 p.m., President Trump posted this. I can't show you because it's a television show. It's an episode or a segment of an episode from The West Wing. And in this particular episode, I don't even remember which country did it, but one of the countries decided they were going to do something to America, kill an American soldier or something. So the president, played by, I believe it was Martin Sheen back then. I hated the show. This segment is perfect. Martin Sheen says, what are our options? And he goes around the room and he's talking to all the meddled and credentialed people, and this person and the Secretary of State, and they're all talking about something called a proportionate response. And a proportionate response, excuse me, is basically if I punch you, you punch me. If somebody punches you, like, the Carmelo Anthony thing, you don't take out a bazooka and blow them away. You do it proportionally. Somebody, blows up a supermarket, you blow up a supermarket. And so during this one segment of this show, you guys can see it. I'll post it on X later. He goes around the room and he goes, I'm done with, quote, proportional responses. It's time for a disproportional response. Because if you keep doing proportional responses, they are going to keep doing the exact same thing. There's no reason for them to stop. I know I can keep being a gnat or a mosquito, and all you can do is swat me, but you're never going to come out and do the flamethrower. And the president in the show says, we got to hit him hard, hit him completely disorganize, just destroy them. And all the guys look around the room like, it's shocking. It's shocking to say we want a disproportional response. And so, just so you know, President Trump posted that last night at 10:36 p.m. Breadcrumb number one. Breadcrumb number two, he followed that up with this at 7:03 this morning. Iran's military is a complete and total mess. Much of it, like their Navy and Air Force, doesn't even exist anymore. They have been completely defeated. Iran is all talk and no action. The bully of the Middle East is dead in capital letters. They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price. That's at 7 o'clock this morning. And President Trump knows the entire world is seeing what he's saying. Then, shortly thereafter, this one was at 7:32 a.m., President Trump posted this. The fake news media refuses to report how effective the U.S. naval blockade is, the most successful blockade in the history of naval warfare. Nothing gets through, in big letters, capitalized, unless we want it to. It is a steel wall. Iran is doing zero business, not paying their military or any of their bills, and quickly becoming a failed nation. Lots of oil is getting out. Praise be to Allah. That's why the media is not reporting that one. The media is not reporting him saying this because he outright mocked Iran. For an infidel like President Trump to be saying praise be to Allah, that is like a cardinal sin. That's causing them to scurry around in the desert. They're freaking out. Oh my gosh, he insulted Allah. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly that this is going to rile them up. He wants them shaken mentally. And these idiots over there, these sand jockeys, their big problem is they are so religiously frothing at the mouth that that's worse than probably bombing some of their cities. For the infidel president of the United States to make fun and mock Allah is probably worse to them than if he had blown up Carg Island. Now, when you put all those three together, where he's talking about a disproportional response and that your Navy's dead and the blockade is working and praise to Allah, what does all that mean? More than likely, this is a poker move. You guys have seen the movie Goodfellas, and you remember in the scene where Ray Liotta is driving around and he's seeing the helicopters and he pulls into the driveway and somebody with a gun says, "Stay right there, don't move." And he says right then and there, he goes, "I knew it was the cops because if it was the wise guys, you'd never hear them coming." So if he's ready to do something, the last thing I would think President Trump would be doing would be telling them, "I'm about to blow you to smithereens," and do some disproportionate responses. Or he could completely keeping them off balance. And right now, that's the worst thing for them because they don't know what this guy's going to do. But I do know, because I got some notifications early this morning, that B-52s, not the stealth bomber, B-52s were tracked heading over towards Iran. I got that notification early this morning. It woke me up. So something is happening. We don't know what. Can't tell you. I have no idea. Nobody knows except in that inner circle of when or if and to what extent a response is going to be given. There's a reason why he told Fox, and the reason why he's posted it. He's letting people know, I'm ready to do this. But if he was going to do it, just do it. What are you waiting on? There's something there, because if you're going to strike, you do not want them to recoil, unless they're watching satellites to see what these guys do at this point, see if he can shake them up, basically hit the anthill and see if you can see the ants running around. I don't know. But it's coming. At the same token, we would think that the oil prices would go crazy, and I think SV posted in the chat. Oil prices they're up, but they're not absolutely crazy right now. Still in that 89 to 90. John Thune is on right now talking about this. Let's take a listen.
Meantime, from your perspective on the Republican side of the Senate, would those senators support military action in a more than a proportional response at this point?
I think most Republican senators, Dana, would support the president and our military achieving their objectives. And I don't have the kind of visibility into some of the things there that the war planners do, but I think most Republican senators, at least, believe we need to finish the job and want to support the president to ensure that that gets done. Now, if he can negotiate a deal that is acceptable, that's obviously one way of reaching an outcome. If it's necessary to use additional force to achieve that outcome, I certainly am supportive of that, because I think that we need to ensure that he finishes the job, and that job is to make certain that Iran never possesses or has a nuclear capability.
Okay, and then FISA, that is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. I'm well familiar with it. I know you are too. So it's been under threat of expiring many, many times, but now it actually seems to be happening. And Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is going to the White House today to talk about it. He spoke a little bit on the floor yesterday. Watch here.
You cannot play politics with the security of the American people. I am praying that they come to their senses and that the Senate can work this out and we move forward and we do not let this critical national security tool expire.
So apparently one of the Democrats' big issues is that the acting director of national intelligence right now is Bill Pulte. Do you think the president should pull him?
I think the president probably is in the process, Dana, of determining who the long-term person would be to fill that position. And I think that's going to be an important decision, and one that will probably be determinative in whether or not Democrats support this. But here's the issue. This is an irresponsible position for the Senate Democrats to take. The 702 program. First off, you had, it was the, air control issues. Then it was the border security issues, sanctuary cities. This is a party of defund the police, open borders, sanctuary cities, and now shutting down one of the most important tools we have to keep people in this country safe. And this thing goes dark at midnight on Friday. And what you heard the speaker say yesterday is absolutely right. This is an absolutely irresponsible position for the Democrats to take, and one that puts at risk and in jeopardy the American people if this particular program goes dark.
Are you able to, if there's some resolution today, do you have an...
All right, so they're going to go over that. Excuse me, so continue. But anyway, so the senators are supporting President Trump doing what he's got to do. Now, the next thing I want to get into is what we're about to see at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, President Trump is going to sign the Secure America Act, not the Save America Act, the Secure America Act, where he just got approval for all of the money he needs to spend on DHS, Border Patrol, TSA. Everything is in this $70 to $80 billion bill, which is in addition to what was included in the big, beautiful bill. So at this point, he is fully funded throughout the entirety of his term, which means, and this is really interesting, which means for everything the Democrats did, they got shut out. It was completely for naught. There was a complete loss. The media is probably not reporting it because it is that devastating of a loss. I want to read something that Bill Maloogian put out, which is quite, it underscores all of this. He says, what was the end result of the Democrats' shutdown? You remember they shut the government down. 0 ICE reforms. Nothing changed. 0 ICE. Now ICE and CBP are fully funded with an additional $70 billion through the rest of Trump's presidency. After negotiations fell apart in the Senate, Republicans simply went around the Dems and funded Trump's immigration enforcement agenda on their own, and the Dems were powerless to stop it. I'm going to come back to that. But my thing is, why didn't you just do that to begin with? Why the hell are you playing with these people? They don't want anything to do with Trump's agenda. They don't want anything to do with stopping immigration. They don't want anything to do with saving American lives. They don't care. They just nominated a Nazi yesterday. Why did it take all this time for you guys finally to realize, I think we can go around them? It pisses me off. You had the opportunity to do that from the jump. That's crazy. Okay, so this is on top of the money ICE and CBP already got in the big beautiful bill, which is what I said. ICE and CBP now have more money coming to their coffers than they would have if there had actually been no shutdown. So, excuse me. So they would, if they didn't do the shutdown, there wouldn't have been this much money. Talk about a failure. You did all of this to try and stop it, and not only did you not stop it, you got spanked worse than if you had even tried to didn't do the shutdown. Now the media today should be screaming that it is a complete, utter beatdown, a complete failure. There's no other way to look at it. That is the news with what he's going to be signing today. He is signing basically something that he's taking in Hakeem Jeffries' face and just rubbing it in. So what I expect is going to happen, he's going to sign this document and he's going to take a victory lap, and he's probably going to talk to Mark Wayne Mullen. He'll probably be there. Who knows who else is going to be in the room? And then he'll take questions, and who knows how long the questions will go on because of what's going on in Iran. Now, how much you want to bet the questions immediately go to Iran? They never want to focus, especially if it's a victory for Trump. The question should be, what's next with the CBP? What's next with ICE? What are you going to do? Because at this point, on June 10th, the most feared man in America right now isn't President Trump to the Democrats. The most feared man in America right now is Tom Homan. Tom Homan, coupled with Mark Wayne Mullen, now have complete funding and authority to basically do whatever they need to do to get these people the hell out of our country. I wonder if the media understand. I wonder if the media is sitting back and realize, wow, the Democrats seriously got their ass kicked, didn't they? Yeah. And now there's no stopping him. The Supreme Court said he can do it, right? Yeah. So you're talking about a fully funded agenda that cannot be stopped or impeded in any way by the Democrats, and it's only June of 2026. Let that sink in. Let that be the reality that we are now living in, is that they can't stop him. The Supreme Court has already given him the green light, and now he's got the money to execute. And so at this point, you got to believe Tom Homan is sitting here going, this is what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to hit. Here's how we're going to hit. I'm telling you, you guys might want to take up the offer on that self-deportation thing if you're listening in. Might want to get that $2,000 and get the hell out of Dodge. And then couple that with what SB was talking about yesterday, the ardent security thing they're doing down in the Latin countries. I haven't even got a chance to delve in to that yet. So, lots of stuff going on.
Good morning, everybody.
I didn't even dig into that thing yet. The what was it called? The ardent something, whatever.
Shoot, I can't remember now. I have to look that one up.
It's probably
I'm drawing a blank.
I'll look it up. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here it is. This is what SV posted yesterday. The command responsible for overseeing defense of the U.S. homeland will fall under Operation Ardent Vanguard. Yeah, I'm gonna really have to dig in that now, because now that they got the $70 billion to do it, who knows what's coming next? Yeah.
Part of the Shield of America. Speaking of which, just in, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has just stepped off a plane in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba as pressure surges on the communist regime. He's set to visit the troops. So he just arrived there. They have a picture of him coming off the plane. He's wearing shorts and a green shirt and a cap. He looks like he's ready to go and run with the troops.
Down in Gitmo?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. Wow. Here it is. So Secretary of War, stepped off the plane in Guantanamo Bay. Oh yeah, he's got workout gear on. He's ready. Ready to go to town with the troops down there. Oh man, love it.
Time to do some push-ups.
I bet they're freaking out big time in terms of what the heck's he doing in Gitmo. Whew. Love that.
And then I've been following any kind of stuff going on in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. And apparently earlier, a British maritime security group called Ambre, they said that the Palau flagged oil tanker suffered an explosion this morning, causing an engine room fire off the coast of Oman, was likely the result of a U.S. missile strike as part of continued blockade operations. So I don't know if that's an oopsie or it was fine. See, you don't know all the facts. It could have had a flag of Iran. I mean, who knows, right? But that just came out about 15 minutes ago. So things are very fluid. Things are happening quickly.
So I'm not sure if everybody knows what the Senate parliamentarian even does, but this is someone who goes through and looks and almost seemingly, especially with Trump, tries to find some reason that something can't be done, and she keeps throwing stuff in the middle of everything, trying to block Trump. They're trying to block Trump at every possible way, and this one doesn't make any sense because they should be able to remove her. She should be gone.
Yeah, I sent you that story.
There it is. Go ahead.
Yep. All right. So an effort is underway to fire the Senate parliamentarian. President Trump posts that Senator Marsha Blackburn wants to term limit her so she can be removed. So they're saying remove her and pass Save America. Elizabeth McDonnell has been there for 14 years, and by her decree, she initially blocked some aspects of the DHS reconciliation bill, the ballroom security funds, and even some of the big, beautiful bill last year. Trump is right. Senator Majority Leader John Thune should immediately fire the parliamentarian and who treats Republicans and everything they stand for horribly. Yeah, I mean, she's just like another rogue judge. She just keeps on putting speed bumps in front of Trump and everything he tries to do.
And the question always keeps going back to, why is she there? Why is it gone on this long that he hasn't fired her? Nothing makes any sense. Hey, listen, these people are not going to, quote, come around. They're going to continue to do everything possible. But at least at this point, we don't have to hear anything more about Nazis and fascists. Don't need to hear that. Don't need to hear about the Me Too movement. Nope, that doesn't matter. They sold out completely to try and get this guy elected, this idiot elected in Maine. And so don't talk to me about Nazis, fascists, and abusers at this point. And you know what's funny, talking about abusers, and this is a serious topic. So many of the sports writers, ESPN, everybody jumped all over Jackson Dart, the quarterback for the New York Giants, because he merely introduced President Trump. And now, since that time, there have been a slew of domestic violence arrests. In fact, 2 people from the New England Patriots got busted yesterday for domestic abuse.
Steroids is a horrible thing, man.
And they don't cover it. That's okay. But introducing the president, that's a bridge too far. Beating up your girlfriend or your wife, that won't disrupt the locker room. We don't have to have different kind of summit meetings about what's going in the locker room. But if you beat your girlfriend, no big deal. Even the NFL. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say. I mean, Plattner was won the primary yesterday. I mean, an actual Nazi is now going to run for Senate. I mean, they don't care. They just want someone to go against Trump. It's all TDS. It's extreme TDS. They don't. And I said something in one of my posts. I mean, they would back a mass murderer at this point. They wouldn't care.
Yep, they don't care.
They do not care who it is. It has no morals. They have no good background. I mean, they'll put anybody into office. And I the thing that surprises me in Maine is I looked at the number of votes that voted for him. Are these people, are they what is it, Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we can finally determine that a propaganda does indeed work. It's successful. It actually works.
Yeah.
They have been able to go up there like this and say that, we got to do everything we can. Forget the fact that he's a Nazi. Forget the fact that he sent out weenie pics and everything. I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop. Here's the next shoe that's going to drop. The next the next shoe that I think is going to drop is he sent weenie pics to an underage woman or girl.
Oh boy.
I think that's what's going to come out.
If that happens, I mean, they're going to have to. It's going to be another swallow. I mean, they couldn't. I mean, that would be no way. No.
Okay, well, here's where I'm getting it from.
All right. Hope not.
John Fetterman has been dropping breadcrumbs left and right. John Fetterman even went as far as saying, I will wear a suit every single day to Congress if you show us the text and prove that you didn't send it to young underage women. And he's been calling him, and I think it's a big breadcrumb, he's been calling him Pete Hustle. And I think Pete Hustle may have been his screen name or something. Nobody in the media wants to go looking up who is Pete Hustle? Because I think if they find out Pete Hustle, they're going to find out that, why has nobody gone to, what's the name of the app? Kick. Why has nobody subpoenaed his records from Kick? Why, they don't want to see it. And so
they're trying to protect him too. They're protecting him. But it's somehow, it always comes out. I mean, Swalwell, he was like untouchable, right? And suddenly they threw him under the bus. So I don't know. I hope they figure it out to get rid of him because this guy seems very, very dangerous. And then you got all the clapping seals voting for him. I mean, I don't know. Those blue states, man, there must maybe something in the water up there. Can we check out what's in the water?
I'll tell you what it is. It's white liberal women. They've lost their ever-loving minds. I mean, and you know what's funny?
Yeah, that's
many of the white liberal women that hate Trump hate him all the way back because of the E. Jean Carroll thing and the thing from All Access or Access Hollywood where he said, grab them by the you-know-what.
Oh, yeah.
And they hated him because he's done this and he's been married and divorced. And now you've completely morphed into somebody who cheers for that.
Delusional people, man. You can't fix them. They need to be in insane asylums. But
I want to share something because people yesterday and the day before were really hot and upset about the California election thing. And I hope it was just like the initial gut punch that people didn't like, because now it's becoming mainstream where other people are talking about it and saying they legalized it. Hey, I'll be right back to you. I want to show you, this is something I posted what Elon Musk put. I said, legalize fraud. People got mad on my show because they were given truth. There's no evidence of a crime because they legalized it. There is no crime. And Elon, to his 200 million whatever, says California made it illegal for any election in their state to require ID. This is nuts. And this he was retweeting somebody who said Costco checks ID. Meanwhile, in California, they even outlawed voter ID. They made sure that they covered every single one of their bases to the point where when I talked to Ashley this morning and she was like, I said, what is wrong? Why were people so pissed off? Why did it viscerally get to them as I was telling them everything? And she says, and it was a great analogy. A perfect analogy. And I thought, I got to tell people this. Ashley said this morning, it's sort of like the whole fair share thing. They keep talking about fair share. They keep saying corporations aren't having to pay their fair share. Yet, the easiest way to make corporations pay more would be to change the law. The tax law, as it exists, allows rich people, billionaires, multimillionaires, corporations to pay less tax. And it sounds good when they go on a stump speech and people can't believe that, Jeff Bezos pays less tax than a waitress, and it sounds so, titillating to say that, but it's the law. And because it's the law, It's not, the only way to change it would be to change the law. And what you've noticed over the last, I don't know, 100 years is that grift goes both ways. You will never get Republicans and Democrats both to say, you know what, let's raise the taxes on corporations to, way high. Let's take the loophole out that allows certain people to pay less taxes. When I go to an accountant, I know that the stuff the accountant tells me is probably something different than what he tells you. And the thing is like, wow, you can do that? Yeah, that's legal? It's the same thing. When you find out the things you can legally do to reduce your tax burden, it'll blow your mind. I mean, poof. But it's the same thing with the votes. People are like, oh, how can that be legal? It's a law. It's a law in terms of how they voted. It's a law how taxes are appropriated for certain people. And it ain't gonna change because they both dip their beaks in it. And I thought, actually, that's a perfect analogy. I didn't even think about it. People look at the tax law and it's this big and they don't understand all these different, what do we need all these pages for? And how many times have you heard people say, let's just make it a simple tax, 10% for everybody? Nope, won't change it. Why won't you change it? Because you lose all that stuff that you get to apply yourself. I've always said Democrats are Democrats until they get into the meeting with their accountant. Then all of a sudden, every single one of those Democrats, I don't care who they are, they turn into Republicans for a few minutes while their accountant is doing their books. You ever wonder why? You ever wonder why these people have 90, 80, 200 million like Nancy Pelosi? You ever see her tax returns? You wonder what she's doing? You want to know how many trusts that she has in corporations and shell companies? And it's all legal. It pisses you off. You can't believe that's what's going on, but they're all rich. They're all getting money from donors. They're all getting money from special interest. And Bernie, we got to get the money from special interest out of elections. Wink, wink. I can't say millionaires and billionaires anymore because I got like 8 houses, billionaires. He can't even use his catchphrase. And people are still voting for commies like this guy in Maine and Mandami, who's rich as hell. The normal people don't understand what's being done to them. And because of that, they always want to point over here when it's Washington. Remember, and the biggest example ever to underscore what I'm saying to you is what President Trump said during his debate with Hillary Clinton. She got up there and said, he doesn't even pay this much in taxes. And what did he say? That's because I'm smart. And it shocked people. What do you mean? That's because I'm smart. I got good people who go through this 50,000 pages and they find out, hey, Donald, this is how you can keep more of your money. So even at a presidential debate, she's pointing at him while she and Bill are doing the exact same damn thing. They know the game. Unfortunately, in California, the game involves fraudulent, what we call fraudulent votes. But now it is what it is. All right, President Trump is due up any minute or so. In the interim, I want to show you, this was from yesterday. Hopefully we can get through it. This is Melania at the AI Innovation Awards.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the White House. What a beautiful group. Congratulations to our Presidential AI Challenge winners. It is wonderful to see this very impressive group of innovators at the White House today. I am proud that you represent the best of America. You are our future. Thank you to Secretaries Wright and Rollins for being here today. Your support of this program is a key to its ongoing success. I also want to recognize everyone who took part in this first AI contest: students, educators, parents, and administrators. Yes, you could applaud. Today is about opening doors. When the doors open, passions flow, courage blossoms, and dreams are realized. AI inspires. Use this chapter of your life to sail away with your dreams, to continue to build boldly, and importantly, to safeguard America's leading position in the world of technology. As you know, technology supports every business sector today. You saw AI's potential and created ideas that will shape America's future in many areas, including healthcare, nutrition, public safety, and beyond. The first presidential AI challenge was broadly welcomed across our nation. More than 20,000 students participated across all 50 states, plus the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and 49 Department of War schools in 10 countries around the world. And we are just at the beginning. Artificial intelligence gives our communities access to the largest amount of information ever recorded in humanity's history. This fundamental democratization of intellect will profoundly alter society, our industries, our social safety net, and even our open-mindedness toward cultural diversity. Wisdom is tolerance, and change will be enhanced at hyperspeed. AI is transformative. Nature opens new possibilities. AI can help us build a stronger community, making our publicly funded social programs more efficient and more effective. It allows us to deliver more personalized education, and in return will unlock growth in America's economy. Keep using artificial intelligence as a muse to open new pathways and ultimately to achieve personal growth and success. Today is about new beginnings. Don't be reluctant to push that door open. Be bold with your dreams and brave with your actions. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Director Kratsios, whose patronage for technology stands out and whose commitment to keeping America's children ahead at the AI curve will leave a lasting impression. Please, Michael.
Thank you so much, Madam First Lady. It's a great honor for the President's AI Education Task Force to have your encouragement and your support. And it is thanks to your inspirational leadership throughout the Presidential AI Challenge that we have had the success that we're all celebrating here today. Together, we are helping to prepare America's young people to build the nation of tomorrow with the most advanced tools available to them today. The purpose of this national competition was simple: to bring young Americans from across the country together in using AI tools to improve the lives of their communities. AI is a magical technology, but it can and needs to be demystified. This challenge has empowered every kind of young American, even the ones who aren't focused on science and mathematics, to design incredible technological projects through the creative use of artificial intelligence. The road that brought us to today stretches back more than a year, to April 2025, when President Trump signed the Advancing AI Education for America's Youth Executive Order. This established the AI Education Task Force and inaugurated the Presidential AI Challenge. With the First Lady's leadership and support, this competition has had tens of thousands of participants, representing every state in the nation, as she mentioned, as well as D.C., Puerto Rico, and so many Department of War schools all across our planet. Our competitors in this historic challenge produced more than 2,500 projects aiming to overcome some of their community's greatest challenges using AI. They worked on everything: tools that help navigate the complexity of school and the online world, that improve local government efficiency and effectiveness, that synthesize real-world information for crime fighting, that guard their communities against hazardous chemicals, and they all succeeded. I am deeply inspired and I am deeply encouraged by everyone's work. To all of our participants here today, it has truly been an amazing to see what you have accomplished. Congratulations, well done, and thank you. Please. The projects you have developed are extraordinary, uncommonly creative applications of a novel technology. You are taking the first steps in making these tools an integral part of everyday life, transforming our world for the better. You are an example to your fellow Americans as they discover their own opportunities to extend and amplify their capacities and their creativity with AI. Thank you again to the private sector supporters of the Presidential AI Challenge who are providing hundreds of thousands of dollars in educational support and prizes for our national and regional champions and their respective schools. I'd also like to recognize our winners on the educator track, announced yesterday for their outstanding achievements. Carrie Robledo of Starr Elementary in Starr, North Carolina, put together what she calls the AI Insect Detectives Program, which introduces children to machine learning through the study of local entomology. Congratulations. And our second winner from Camden Catholic High School, team of Ann Wynn, Bridget Bash, and Regina Knowlton of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, developed AI augmented molecular design and AI durable module for AP biology. Congratulations. You are both blazing trails. I hope your colleagues across the country will soon follow. This year, as all of us know very well, we are celebrating 250 years of U.S. independence and ingenuity, and the legacy of patriots and pioneers conquering new frontiers and building our future. We all have a privilege of carrying that legacy forward. Today, we are grateful for this opportunity to celebrate the next generation of American exploration and the readiness of these young people to master the frontiers of artificial intelligence. It is now my privilege to announce the winning student teams of the Presidential AI Challenge, and I'd like to invite the First Lady back onto stage to help present the awards to our national champions. So first, we have our elementary school winners. From Alcoa Intermediate School in Alcoa, Tennessee, the Homework Helper app. Team members included Riker Cochran, Emma Connor, Aaron Gallagher, and Aiden Taverna. Can you have the whole team come up together and take a team shot rather than one by one? Yeah, come on over. Let's get a... Congratulations. Our second elementary school winner is from Aldie, Virginia, the Friend Zone Chatbot Bullying Prevention app. Team members included Arna Jaiswal, Ishani Khatri, Riva Makhta, Sumitha Prinamoretti, and Sonali Ruthnayaka. Next, I'm happy to announce our middle school winners. From North Star Middle School in Sammamish, Washington, Skill Up is an AI tool that assists with craftsmanship, handiwork, and hands-on creation. Viha Iyer. Arya Prukhtap. And Srimai Shetty. And the second middle school winner from Julia Landon College Preparatory School in Jacksonville, Florida. The project was an AI model to detect urban blight using street view images. I think we need this as we're beautifying DC. This is amazing. Sean Vance, congratulations. So finally, we have our high school winners from Upper Darby Senior High School in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. The project was an AI-powered computer vision tool that assists investigators with hotel identification from evidence images. Congratulations, Kundakar Mahin. And our final high school winner is from North Allegheny High School in Sewickley, Pennsylvania. The project is Iris, an edge AI navigation assistant for visually impaired users. Congratulations, Alexander Dew. Amazing. So let's give all of our finalists, winners, a big round of applause. It truly is amazing. Congratulations, guys. So this concludes our awards ceremony. Congratulations again to all of you. And thank you for participating in the Presidential AI Challenge and for all joining us here in the beautiful White House. Now, please join us in the Rose Garden for a reception and further celebration. Congratulations, guys.
Well, it appears that quite a number of you picked up on something that I noticed when I put that together. It was glaringly obvious. President Trump always, many times, keeps saying we can't lose the AI race to China. We have to be the ones who win the AI race. And as you saw, all those kids, those young kids, come up and get an award from Melania. Yes, indeed, you did notice something common with those children. There were very few, if any, that were of a lighter complexion. I don't think there were any black kids. Almost every single one of those kids looked to be of some sort of Asian or Indian descent. The race that President Trump is trying to win, obviously, is already being lost here in America. Because people are afraid of this new technology where young, bright minds aren't. They're embracing it. Those young kids are embracing it. I just feel it is so weird because when I have my shows and I talk to people about it, I feel like many people are argumentative, like they don't want to hear it. But like it's actually bothering them. And like I sit back and I talk to Ashley and Rob, I'm like, I don't get it. The salaciousness, obviously that's why the media is what it is. It sells because people want the red meat. They want to talk about Carmelo Anthony. They want to talk about the fraud. And I'm like, why are we not focusing on the stuff that we should be looking at as opportunities? My catchphrase saying, skate where the puck is going. Well, you just saw where the puck is going. And not every, but many of you sat back and go, wait a sec, I don't see any little Johnny and Buffys. I don't see Sheila and Susie and Jimmy. That should tell you and speak volumes. There's a couple of people here who are terrified of data centers. And I feel like I'm the bad person talking at this point, bringing people information. Because at this point, it is where the puck is going. We can't stop the progress of technology and innovation, otherwise we don't move as a country. And I know some people just don't want to hear it. Oh, these data centers are so bad. I don't get it. One of the things that I've always tried to do in my personal life and as a part of this show is talk about where things are going, how they're going, how we can seize on the opportunities. And I know we have a bit of an older audience, but I'm 65. In 3 months, I'll be 66. And every single day I wake up and I can't wait to digest something new. I can't wait to say, okay, what do I need to learn today? How do I need to jump into this? Because I just keep feeding me all the information I possibly can. I never want to get to a position where I'm stagnated, where I think this is it, I'm set in my ways, I'm not changing, I don't care about this AI stuff, it's the mark of the beast. I can't do that. And I encourage you not to do that as well. Learn as much as you possibly can. Don't fall for Chinese propaganda about this data center stuff. And I think that the whole data center stuff is going to be temporary anyways. See, that's another thing that people haven't been educating themselves on. The data centers that we need now are just because we don't have any. But as they proliferate and they get even more innovative, those data centers will become obsolete. Listen to this.
Elon, I have 10 questions for you, so I want to make sure I get to each one. Some of them came from folks here. They're all kind of important. But one, just to start, is why SpaceX public now? Because you had choices, you didn't have to. Why now?
Yeah, I've been asked for many years about taking SpaceX public. So it's probably been, I don't know, almost 10 years that people have been suggesting to me that I should take SpaceX public. We've been positive cash flow for quite a long time. I think since since around 2014, 2015. And we've been self-funding. In fact, in our sort of private equity rounds, they actually have not been fundraising rounds. They've been liquidity rounds for investors and employees, because we give everyone at the company stock. And SpaceX has actually bought back stock in most of our sort of funding events. So what's different about now is that, well, it's a number of things, but we are embarking on a significant growth phase, like a capital growth phase, where we are going to put in orbit probably 100,000 satellites, or probably over 100,000 satellites, just for communications. And these will be the version 3 and beyond versus version 2 and version 1 that are currently in orbit. Version 3 is, depending on how you count it, 10 to 20 times more capable than the version 2 satellite. And there were 3 chips that the SpaceX chip design team taped out that are specific to this, that are far beyond state of the art. Which means it's 100 times more bandwidth than the SpaceX Starlink system currently offers. And also half the latency, because the altitude will be about half the altitude. So I think it will actually be the highest bandwidth, lowest latency means of communicating. And the future with AI and robots is actually going to require a lot more bandwidth than we currently use. Because you can imagine, like, what's the bandwidth of a human? It's peak bandwidth of a human is a few hundred bits per second, but bandwidth of a computer can be a trillion bits a second. So the appetite for bandwidth of AI and robots is going to be enormous. And then we're also doing the AI data centers in space, which is another massive capital endeavor. But I think it'll be the primary means by which AI can be expanded. It's increasingly difficult to build power plants on the ground. There are very few people who want a power plant in their backyard. So if we wanted to, say, double the electricity usage of the United States, which is on average about 500 gigawatts, we would have to build about twice as many power plants, which I don't think people are, well, most communities are not super excited about that. But actually, if we go to space, we can go far beyond the electricity generation of Earth.
You see what I mean? It is evolving so quick. The people who are worried and terrified about data centers in their backyard, that's not where the puck is going. The data center on the ground, no, it's not going to be here. It's going to be up there somewhere. We don't have the capacity for what they need to build to capitalize on the entire AI thing. And if you don't listen, if you don't read and understand where things are going, you don't know that. You don't know this is temporary. We're just trying to capitalize right now, do what we can here on the ground on Earth, but the puck is up there in some satellite station, some monstrous, ginormous satellite station that is a data center.
In fact, this is going to sound kind of crazy, but you could actually increase harnessed energy by a factor of 1 million and still be using much less than 1/millionth of the sun's energy. So current human civilization uses much less than 1/trillionth of the sun's energy output, which is kind of humbling to think about. We're really a tiny, when you see the true size of Earth relative to the sun, we're a tiny dust mote in a vast darkness. And the sun is enormous. The sun is 99.8% of all mass in the solar system, and most of the remaining 0.2% is Jupiter. Sometimes people ask me, I'm sort of maybe going a little wide-ranging in this answer, but because they just asked me why you're going public now, I'm like,
Can you imagine sitting down with Elon Musk for about 15 minutes and walking out and go, I don't know what you just said. You're talking such huge, enormous development, and we've got people worried about a data center in Idaho. And the untapped potential for where we're going. I was telling Robin the other day, I bet you somebody right now, somewhere, is creating the ultimate Manchurian candidate. Oh, Barry, what are you talking about? I bet you we are creating a candidate completely from AI. Spencer Pratt probably put a lot of ideas in people's heads. Let's create, and then using Joe Biden's strategy, you could actually do it. Remember Joe Biden, they kept him in a bunker, he didn't come out, nothing happened, and he supposedly had support. Well, imagine the entire candidate being developed by AI. Asking AI, what would 75 to 80% of Americans really want to see? And it would create all the information and grab all the data. And now what does that person have to look like? What do they need to look like on video? What do they need to sound like? What's their accent need to be? Program that all in. And all of a sudden, here's John Smith. And John Smith is a candidate from Boise, Idaho. And here's what he stands for. Hi, I'm John. And you'd never friggin' know. Oh yeah, that probably just scared a whole bunch of people. You'd never know. Like, hey, why isn't John out there doing any events? Well, John right now is really honed in on getting everything correct for the American people. But John keeps doing videos, and John does webinars, and John does a YouTube channel, and he's on X, and he's talking. So you're seeing John every day, but you're not touching John until that point where everybody out there falls in love with John. Can't happen. You obviously haven't seen how many guys are falling in love with AI women. A woman who's completely fake, that is probably somebody like me, and if you talk, it changes my voice tone, it makes me look a certain way, it allows me to entice you to do what you got to do in the privacy of your own home, and you're going to send me email, hey, send me an email. And there are people having relationships with robots and AI right now. So don't think a Manchurian robotic candidate or AI candidate couldn't be manufactured.
So talking about the sun's power output, I'm going to go a bit of a long-winded answer here. If I was an AI, you might tell me to, okay, but also, but it is important. Like some of these things are kind of important because people sometimes wonder what's the future of energy generation. And I can say that it is absolutely solar power, or maybe a better word for solar power is star power. It's the power of a star. And the crazy thing is that if you burnt all mass in the solar system that was not the sun, the amount of energy produced by the sun would still round up to 100%, because the sun is 99.8% of the mass of the solar system.
I can't even imagine what this guy does on a daily basis. Because we're all sitting here going, wait a second. And it's just no notes, just coming right out of his mouth. He knows it so well. And so I will never get to the point of knowing robotics and AI and data the way he does. I'll never get there. But I can try every day to try and get there. You can try every single day to get as much knowledge as you possibly can. I know the person in the chat who was worried about data centers, and I let her go on because I knew where I was going with the next video. And I wanted to show her and show you that the concern people have right now for data centers here isn't warranted because it's already outdated facilities. It's already obsolete. Nobody is going to continue to build obsolete stuff. This guy's already telling you where the future is. We're going to stick them up there, and we're going to draw the power from the sun, and we're going to make huge, giant cities of data centers up in the clouds.
Teleported two more Jupiters from another solar system and burnt them too, the sun would round up to 100%. So it's very much the sun. And you can scale to 1 million times Earth's economy in space in terms of harnessed power, which is a good proxy for economic output, and still be much less than 1/millionth of the sun's energy, which is humbling, really, to think about how tiny we are. And this is just one star among many. So I guess the TLDR, it would be, we're embarking on a massive new growth phase, and we need capital for that.
Okay.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
We don't need, and I understand it's terrifying to some people. I bet you at some time when Henry Ford decided, you're not going to need this horse anymore. What do you mean? The horses, we don't want them anymore. I got this thing you can drive. And then, of course, Orville and his brother Wilbur decided, you know what? We're going to make this thing that can fly. So every time there was an innovation in technology or an innovation in industry, there were tons of people who said, nope, it's not going to work. No one's ever going to buy a car. No one's getting on this airplane. Cable TV? Nah, it's never going to work. What do you mean get rid of my fax machine? What's this email crap? Every single time there's an innovation, most people's initial, they can't help it. They pull back. It's terrifying. It's scary. It means that there's something that's non-biblical. Every single time. Think about it to yourself. How many times you sat back where somebody's like, you shouldn't do that. Why? Because I think it's evil. And then all of a sudden everyone's driving. And then everyone's flying. What Elon Musk is doing, in my estimation, is harboring or tapping into something that was given to us. The sun was placed up there in the sky to give us warmth, to nurture us. And we have somebody now who's kind of figured it out and said, you know what? I think we could do something with this to further where we want to go. And now the richest man in the world has decided, because he didn't need it until this time, I need to go ahead and raise money because this is the first time I want to put data centers in the sky. Now, what's going to be interesting with everything he's doing, and I'm bringing this up because SpaceX goes live in 2 or 3 days, and the Democrats want to tax everything. They hate everything. They want to tax everything. But it's going to be interesting how they approach this. Let me introduce you to Juan Hernandez. Juan is a SpaceX employee, earns $28 an hour, and is about to become a millionaire in 3 days. Juan, a Mexican immigrant, joined SpaceX in 2015 as a contractor, earning $25 an hour. He later went full-time, received a $10,000 equity grant that vested over 5 years, and bought more through payroll deductions. His remaining shares, okay, get this, don't faint. His remaining shares are worth about $880,000. That's at the $135 initial strike price for the IPO. SpaceX reported IPO could push him past millionaire status. This guy right there, Juan Hernandez. Juan Hernandez is making $28 an hour, and in about 3 days is going to be worth millions. What do you mean big business doesn't help people? Here's another one. What's this guy's name? These stories are all over X. That's Juan again. Juan is now a millionaire to space. This is him. Emigrated to U.S. from Mexico, learned welding as it paid well, and started as a SpaceX as a contractor. And the same story, $880,000. But you can find these stories all over the place with people who are about to become multi-millionaires simply because they worked for SpaceX and took a chance on that company. And in 3 days, we shall see many of these people just go absolutely crazy. How they're gonna, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine being paid right now $28 an hour, which means you're basically making probably about 50 grand. What's that, 28 times 40? Yeah, you're about 50 grand a year. And in 3 days, someone's gonna tap you on the shoulder and go, guess what, Juan? Yeah, you're worth a cool 1.5 or 2 million bucks. Bam. How is that not a success story? Why are the Democrats not celebrating people like Juan? That's amazing, absolutely amazing. But let's check in with SV. What you got, anything over there going on? What was that?
Resistance is futile. Resistance is futile. Resistance is futile.
SB, I watch a lot of podcasts, or I used to, and the commonality is, I don't know, is because, and they do well, is because they talk about the same shit over and over and over. And I try to find different things, and people get freaked out. Ah, what do you mean, data centers? Oh, God. No. I don't want none of that stuff.
Stop the Borg. Stop the Borg. Stop them. Can we get back to winning, Barry? Can we get back to Trump remains undefeated?
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
See, here's the problem. I don't think enough people knew what the hell he was saying when he said that. That's probably what freaked them the hell out. It's like, wait a second. Win what? Oh, we're going to win a whole lot of stuff. Stuff you don't even know what we're going to be winning. And now you're finding out, and you're like, wait a second. I didn't know about this. You voted for him. You voted you voted for the obliteration. You voted for the winning. Yeah. You voted for AI. He told you it was coming, and now it's like data centers. I didn't know about all that. I can't vote for Trump anymore. I want to stay here in my safe little box.
How about Trump endorsements? Can you cue up what I sent you? Let's see what happened yesterday.
Actually, I think
16 wins, 0 losses.
I think he actually.
The very last one I just sent you from Gunther.
Wait a second.
Very last one.
I have it from the man himself. He posted this. Yeah, June 9th. So what do you got? 8? Oh, poor Nancy Mace got stomped.
Yeah, she did a solid 5th place. She came in strong. Yeah, she's gone. So on January 3rd of 2027, she is out the door.
You know what's funny to me? And we've had Nancy Mace on the show a couple times, and I've told you, Ashley, it's so hard for Ashley to book people anymore because it's like, did they turn crazy? Yep, they got the crazy, and we can't bring them back on. How about him? Nope, he got the crazy too. We can't bring him back on. And literally, there's a list of people that we brought on the show early on who got infected. Yeah. They got infected with the crazy, and then we don't want nothing to do with them anymore. Just a quick programming note. I just got word a little while ago. We will have Lee Greenwood talking about America 250 on the show on Friday. So,
all right.
Lee Greenwood will be in the house.
Very nice.
Luckily, he has not been infected with the crazy. So
no. He's not going anywhere.
We're still trying to get Ted Nugent locked in, and also
that'd be cool.
Ice Baby. But anyway, 8-0 in South Carolina, 6-0 in Nevada. What's the other one? 1-0 in North Dakota, 1-0 in Maine. Yep. All right.
So Mason's going to join the Trump Revenge Tour with MTG and Massey, and I think their mascot is a pine cone.
But you know what's funny? Why not just join the Democrat Party? Just be done with it. If you've been cast aside and destroyed, and we don't watch anymore, what makes you think that your hate Trump stuff is going to work? We don't care.
It never works. Never has worked. I mean, look at his winning record. He's now, 117 plus another 16. I mean, he's almost 150-0. I mean, I'm all in. I'm pushing all my chips to the center of the table. All my money's going in.
Well, SV, that's why I show people this stuff, because he is at the center of it. He is the one who is promoting it. He is the one that's saying, this is where this country is going. This is where I'm taking it. And when I bring it up, people freak out about data centers, and we don't need cars where we're going. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal. He posted something else. I don't even know what this is. I don't know if you saw this. Says, wow, Citi was ranked #1 in topping merger and acquisition. Congratulations to Jane F. and all of her great people. They worked really hard. Big comeback for Citibank. Wow, interesting, very interesting. Citibank is now #1 again. I wonder why he put that up there. Wonder why he put that up there. Interesting.
I grokked it real quick, but Grok still says it's not #1, but apparently it has not been updated.
Yeah.
They apparently had a very strong quarter compared to like Saks, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America. So they're in the top 5.
Wow.
Goldman Sachs is the best with $425 billion.
So just to let everybody know, it's 10:55, and as of thus far, they've not even turned on the camera in the Oval Office, so we're waiting for that to come up. Good thing I had a whole bunch of content ready to go. Yeah, I've got some more. I always have this bank of stuff here to talk about just in case.
You have
and
to.
This is one of those just in case moments. You got anything else before I go to what do I have here next? Yeah, okay, I got something else here. I got an interview.
Are you going to talk about the crazy response from Jasmine Crockett? That was off the hinge there.
No, I don't want to pay her any attention. She's done. She's a loser. And I think she's auditioning for The View at this point. And I put her in the same category. I was telling Ashley this morning, I put her in the same category as Hunter Biden. They now know that you can actually make good money on X. And and it doesn't matter what the engagement is, good, bad, or indifferent. If enough people sit there, if they come in and scream at you, it still counts. And if you want to cash a $25,000, $30,000 a month check, go for it. And I think that's what they've realized at this point. There are enough crazy people. I mean, just if you follow. And if you want to wade into that, if you follow the Candace Owens business model, it's the National Enquirer on steroids, and they make a crap load, a ton of money, an absolute boatload. Like I can't compromise myself from that perspective. But anyway,
I just got a breaking story to you on X from Marco Rubio. This is a major crackdown on a certain thing.
Marco Rubio. Let's see
Eric
here.
Doherty. This is pretty major.
Go ahead. I'm reading.
Yeah. Breakings. Secretary Marco Rubio just launched a major crackdown on birthright citizen scam. The State Department has shut down a sophisticated birth tourism network in West Africa.
Wow.
Well, that's no surprise. Yeah, good. End the invasion. SCOTUS should do the right thing and abolish it for good. He says under President Trump, the State Department is defending the integrity of U.S. citizenship by ending illegal birth tourism schemes. No foreigner is permitted to obtain a visitor visa for the primary purpose of acquiring U.S. citizenship for a child by giving birth in the U.S. One U.S. embassy in North Africa revoked over 100 visas for birth tourist parents who came to the United States primarily to give birth so their children would get U.S. citizenship. He says a U.S. visa is a privilege, not a right. The State Department is taking action around the world to stop this abuse, dismantle birth tourism networks, and hold accountable those who try to scam our system. All right.
Good. Absolutely.
Big news. Big
Good.
news.
So yesterday we had the CEO of SPLC taking questions. Today, the CEO of Act Blue is taking questions. So I can't wait to see the excerpts from that. I bet you there's going to be a ton of stuff I could talk about at the 4 o'clock show. All right, so it's 11 o'clock. President Trump is now officially an hour late. So I wanted to let you guys take a listen to Scott Turner from HUD as he was on CNBC this morning. Housing is taking a turn. Had the best month of sales in a long time, was what April was. So this is Scott Turner.
It is National Home Ownership Month, and with high mortgage rates and millions of Americans priced out of the market, the Trump administration is working on plans to try and cut regulation and boost affordable housing. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner joins us this morning. And Secretary, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Becky. Great to be here.
All right, let's talk about the state of the American housing situation at this point. Where do things stand?
Well, as you alluded to, the president has been laser focused on bringing housing costs down and making homes more affordable for the American people. As I travel around the country, and I've been to over 40 unique cities already in the last 15 months, the number one thing I hear what's crippling our housing development is regulations on the state level, the local level, and at the federal level. So we've been very intentional about tearing down the regulatory environment and also encouraging local governments and state governments, take inventory of your regulation. What's crippling development? What's causing construction to be delayed? What's causing the cost of houses to go up? And so regulations is the number one thing. We just released our best practices report, our regulatory best practices report, which I encourage people to go look at to help cities and states say, hey, how can we ease the permitting process? How can we modernize our processes? How can we get rid of duplicative fees? When you look at regulation, it adds up about $100,000 per single family home. That's not sustainable.
$100,000?
$100,000. Think about this, Becky.
That's more than just a few fees along the way.
It is. It's fees, it's zoning, it's duplicative processes. The median price of a home in America is about $426,000. $100,000 of that is in regulations, in the regulatory environment. If you take that away, it brings down the cost of a house so more Americans can afford to buy. So regulations, taking that cost down, bringing supply up, we're laser focused on that.
One of the biggest complaints that I remember hearing from under the Biden administration was that any push for affordable housing required that you use union workers to go along with it. And some builders will complain and say that that was not something that was going to lead to affordable housing. How do you do this and still make sure that you're getting good-paying jobs that are coming out of these things?
Well, if you think about in America, America was built on the backs of hardworking people. I came out of development industry, construction industry. We need to increase our trades, and this is just a side note, increase our trades in America for welders, for plumbers, for builders in the construction industry. But these are great paying jobs. But again, because of the regulatory environment, all the fees go up, which makes the cost of building go up, which makes it harder to get good labor and good tradesmen. So when you tear down these regulations and you make it easier to build and easier to buy, job paying goes up. The more people you need, it goes up as far as the trades. And so it's all really together. And when you take this regulatory environment down, costs go down, supply goes up, and jobs are created.
No question that regulatory overreach has impacted the cost of housing coming in, but it's also been impacted by fewer immigrants being allowed into the country to work in some of these trades. It's been impacted by the tariffs that have created higher prices for lumber and so forth. How do you combat
Well,
those
yeah, I'm going to push back on that from the immigration standpoint. We have enough American people to take American jobs. When you look at
we're at a pretty good labor market right now.
We're
talking about a relatively low unemployment rate.
We do. We have 4.3.
The biggest complaint from small businesses is that they can't find the labor.
About 4.3 unemployment rate, which is good. The market is very sustainable right now, but we have enough American people to take American jobs. When you look at tens of millions of people coming across our border, unchecked, unvetted, from a HUD standpoint.
I'm not looking for unchecked immigration.
No, I know that.
Stretch.
But from a HUD standpoint, from a housing standpoint, it makes the costs go up for housing. Houses for American people are taken by those that are not here legally, and so it all comes together. We have enough American people for the American jobs, so I don't really buy that.
What about the idea of higher lumber prices and other issues that have come through from the tariffs? Because some of the builders we've had on the program.
Yeah, and I understand that, but the president is laser focused on that to bring those costs down as well, and the builders know it. Home sales have gone up the highest they've been since December, and so I'm not concerned about that. Consumer confidence is high. Builders just need these regulations to come down.
Mr. Secretary, you like either one of the versions of the 21st century road to housing? I understand the idea. It almost sounds like you're layering some new regulations, with institutional ownership sort of. I guess they softened it in the House, some of the precluding, not allowing them to do it. But the arguments were, it sounds good in a populist way, but a lot of institutions fund the housing, and then you get, it helps with people that are going to rent, and it helps in the upkeep of a lot of places. Do you like everything about that law?
Well,
what's your perfect law?
Yeah, the House and the Senate. One thing, I'm glad that they're working together to get a comprehensive bill, as it pertains to housing.
Yeah.
We've given our comments as it pertains to HUD and the road. Mike Johnson and with Senator Thune's team and Senator Tim Scott. I know they're all working very hard on this bill, which I'm glad about. The president is supportive of the bill, so I'm hopeful that in due time they'll get something across the finish line. I don't think that, coming from the legislator, you're not going to like everything in every bill that comes to the House or the Senate. But we have been involved in it from a HUD standpoint. But I'm looking forward to the final version.
We have interest rates have picked up recently, and that's been a huge issue that the president's been concerned about. I think many people will look at affordability and say it's going to be more difficult if you don't lower interest rates. Again, we have CPI number that's coming out in 12 minutes.
Right.
That will probably determine the path that the Fed takes at this point. Where are you anticipating mortgage rates are going to be, and what does it mean if we don't see a rate cut this year?
Well, obviously, that's my lane of expertise as far as where the mortgage rates will be. I know they're hovering around about 6.3 or 6.4 right now. But again, since December, the highest sale price of home sales have gone up, people buying houses, if you will. And so I think consumers, yes, we all want the interest rates to go down, but people are still buying homes. I don't know what the Fed is going to do. Obviously, I want them to come down. The president wants them to come down for the American people. But the market has been on a sustainable run. It's been fluctuating. But as I look at it, Becky, our market is strong. Economy is strong. The president is laser focused on domestic policy and securing our homeland to make sure that the American people are safe. And I think the Americans trust that.
What's your biggest concern when you look out there right now?
My biggest concern is that the people get the right information. Because there's good things going on in our country from a policy standpoint. If you look at the working family tax cut or the one big beautiful bill that was passed, those policies are going to bless the American people now and for the long term. When you look at the permanency of opportunity zones, which I've had a big role in leading opportunity zones, that's going to create long-term sustainability and growth in our country. But the mainstream media doesn't talk about these things. And so people in our country, they're not getting all the correct information. And that's a concern. Because
the opportunity zones to make sure that investors will put money into these areas and spend to make sure that they're...
Right. So opportunity zones thus far have raised about $100 billion in private money to go in some of the most distressed communities in our country, creating 400,000 new housing units, 500,000 new jobs, 1 million people lifted out of poverty. But the media doesn't talk about this, but that is really going on in America. And so I do the best thing I can to be an ambassador for these policies, to share with the American people that good things are happening, and just keep being steadfast and confident because great days are ahead.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Scott was 100% correct. The media does not talk about the good news. Here's what he was talking about.
Existing home sales in May rose 3.2% from April to a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 4.1 million units, according to the realtors. That's a beat. The street was looking for barely a 1% gain. Sales also up 3.2% year over year, and this was the highest sales pace since December. Now, the count is based on closings, so contracts likely signed in April when mortgage rates did come down a bit off that spike we saw at the start of the war with Iran in very early March. Inventory in May rose 3.3% month to month to 1.55 million units for sale and is up a little less than 1% from a year ago. At the current sales pace, that's a 4.5-month supply. 6 months is considered balance between buyer and seller, so it's still tight, and that's why prices are still rising. The median price of an existing home sold in May, $429,300, up 1.3% from May of last year, and that is another record high price for May. Now, we did see a nice jump in first-time buyers, 35% of sales, up from 33% in April and just 30% a year ago. And that's the highest first-time buyer share since June of 2020. The Realtors' chief economist, Lawrence Yun, says improved affordability is helping because mortgage rates are slightly lower than they were a year ago. Back to you guys.
What's really interesting is that the price of homes has risen up to 429, I believe she said, 429, up 1.3% from last year at the same time. But at the same point, more people are buying. So again, if you look at the indices, the indicators that show you what the economy is doing, it doesn't match with what the media is saying. The housing prices have increased. The sales have increased, ergo, people must have money to be buying these houses, and 35% of them were new home buyers. So how is it possible that the economy is in the tank when it seems to be moving in so many different positive ways? I know for a fact because I buy and sell houses. I am in the real estate market. It is absolutely, I know, down here it's a little bit different, but it's flying. The numbers are amazing in terms of A, the number of sales, B, the profitability, and it's almost to a point where from an investment standpoint, you become rate agnostic because you don't even make a payment. Or if you do make a payment, it's 2 or 3 of them, and boom, you're done, and you're grabbing your profit. Scott Turner never lets an opportunity, well, I'm going to say it twice, an opportunity go to waste by not telling people about opportunity zones. Somebody emailed me and they asked me, like, Barry, where are the opportunity zones? How do I find them? And I had to send her a map, so a link to a map so she could find them. Why is the media not talking about opportunity zones? I've talked about opportunity zones quite a bit here, and I don't even know how many of you have looked into what can you do in an opportunity zone. And talk about programs, talk about, how come these programs are available through Obama, Biden, Trump, is because they use these programs. Big developers use them, but little developers use them and small entrepreneurs use them as well. They are absolutely phenomenal in terms of you being able to get money from opportunity zones, community redevelopment agencies, all kinds of different programs. I look at it like it's like SNAP for real estate. Think of it that way. You know how SNAP, everyone goes in and gets their free food? They can go in there and they can buy the Twinkies and the bonbons and you're paying for it? Think of an opportunity zone as SNAP for investors. It's like, what are you going to do for me to make me go into this, less than desirable area and invest and do something here? Well, here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to give you grants. Okay? We're going to give you matching funds. And then the big kahuna. This one's going to blow you away. I've never mentioned this before right now, because I don't want people to get pissed off. You know how Section 8, they pay the rent for somebody? Yeah, that's fine. But imagine this. Imagine you go into an opportunity zone and you say, I'm going to build duplexes, quadplexes, 8plex. And with these units, I'm going to put Section 8 tenants in them. You're going to pay me a rent every single month. I pocket the money. I make the payment on my mortgage that you're going to give me. And you're going to give me the construction money. So wait a second. I want you to think of this. I'm going to buy this land for $1 or whatever. Literally, sometimes $1. You're going to give me the money to hire a general contractor to build this. Yep. And then you're going to give me the tenant and pay their rent. Yep. Is this legal? Would be the first thing you're thinking. Yep. Now you say, well, Barry, you still got to have money to buy the land. Well, here's the good part. We're going to give you something called a tax credit. What the hell is a tax credit, you might want to know? Well, a tax credit is this thing that you can go find an investor or a rich person and say, listen, if you invest into my project here, I can give you a tax credit that will allow you to write off a certain amount of the money you give me to build the property that I'm going to build. Well, how do I know you're going to be able to do it? Well, the government's going to give me the money, and then they're going to give me the tenant. Some of you right now go, what in the hell? I know some people are sitting, what are you saying? Is it all rigged? Well, you can call it rigged. You can call it fixed, or you can look up what an opportunity zone is and understand what CRA in certain towns are doing, what kind of money they have to spend to incentivize people to come into these neighborhoods and turn a neighborhood around, and they'll give you basically all facets of the game. You just have to have the idea. And you go in and you bring in a partner, and you, hey, what do you want? I want to give you tax credits. All right, so this tax credit, I can just apply to my taxes. Yeah, sounds good. Let's build. The contractor says, I need to get paid. Wait a second, I'm gonna go to the CRA or to the government, and I'm gonna get a construction loan from Scott Turner. Works for me, I'm getting paid. All right, so now your project's being built, it's all being done. You got your new 8-plex, now I need tenants for this 8-plex. Who do I turn to? Scott Turner. What do you mean? And then you talk to the Florida housing people, and they're going to give you tenants, and they're going to pay you $2,000 a month per tenant, and it's going to go right in your bank account. The only reason people can't play the game because they don't even know the rules. And it's funny to me because as I saw what was happening in California, and then Ashley mentioned today about the taxes, and then Scott Turner was talking about real estate, and I'm like, it's all the same game. What you call rigged, special, entitled, hidden, people who do it know it as, those are just the rules. The rules say I can write this off. The rules say that I can give out tax credits. The rules say that I can get you to pay my tenant's rent. And I know this is where the hard part is you're paying for all of it, whether indirectly or directly. That group of people moving into that brand new, beautiful 8-plex, you're paying their rent, and it's completely legal. I've had people tell me, Barry, you shouldn't do this because what? Why shouldn't I look at doing something and putting Section 8? Because it goes against what? It's the law. Just like President Trump said, it makes me smart. I want you to be smart. SB, what you got, man?
I just sent you something concerning a Truth Social post by President Trump, which is very interesting. Eric Doherty also expanded on it, basically saying that he's instructed Pulte to immediately start firing and downsizing the deep state. They're talking about the FISA 702, which I'm still doing some analysis on. I'm not quite sure what that all is, but
you knew this was coming, right?
Obviously.
Yeah. Bill Pulte, if you guys have ever seen the Godfather movie, we may have action here. So I see Donald Trump's face, and looks like we got something here.
Anytime you're ready. Are you ready?
They're ready.
It's an honor to have these very distinguished people alongside of me, not behind me, alongside of me. I would never say behind me because they're not behind anybody. They're great. This morning I'm thrilled to sign the Secure America Act to immediately and fully fund the Department of Homeland Security through the end of my term. So we won't have that to be talking about anymore,
That's
Lisa.
good. No, we will not, sir.
We'll give the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol, and that's what they are, they're heroes, what they have to go through to keep us safe. the support and resources they need to defend our borders, protect our homeland, and to keep America safe. I want to thank Speaker Mike Johnson. He's incredible. Where is Mike Johnson?
Right here.
Mike, you're doing an incredible job. Not a big majority.
Just
Rather have 40 or 50. I don't think you'd know what to do. We have He'd say, what are we doing?
That'd be no fun.
He's done an amazing job. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, and Todd is up, and I hear he's got tremendous support in the Senate, and he's got tremendous support everywhere. Actually, he's doing a fantastic job. And Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne. Where's Mark Wayne?
Right here, sir.
He gave up his Senate seat. He had a guaranteed seat for the next 40 to 50 years. And he gave it up to be Homeland Security because he just wanted to...
Wanted to serve.
Yep, they're
Part of the
amazing.
administration.
Amazing. As well as Senate Majority Leader John Thune and Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso, who's here, I think.
Yes,
John,
sir.
right
Yes,
here.
sir, Mr. President.
And John is, you're incredible. From day one, we got along,
Thank you, Mr.
right?
President.
From
Absolutely.
first day I met him. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, one of the bravest people.
Yeah.
And what he went through is incredible, and he's, I actually think it looks better now than he did.
We're going to win the game tonight, Mr. President.
Oh, is it tonight?
Tonight.
With the baseball, I'll be watching
7:05.
that. And House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, who is an unbelievable leader, actually. He's just so highly respected, and he's in Minnesota, and he's ripping them because he knows what's going on. I mean, it's... you have your chance now, Tom, because people have really found out about it.
Thanks to you.
I want to thank
Thanks
you.
to you.
No, but he's working with our people. They look like Elliot Ness. It looks like Elliot Ness and the gang up there, right? They're finding billions of dollars of fraud, and Tom Emmer is really helping us. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
And thanks as well to Senators Lindsey Graham, who had a big victory last night. He won by a lot. And no runoff, no nothing. They had a lot of very capable people running against him, and he just blew them away. So Lindsey Graham, congratulations. And Chuck Grassley, Rand Paul, who's here. Hi, Rand. Boy, oh boy, it's nice to have Rand. It's a good thing to have Rand. He knows what's important. Eric Schmidt has been an incredible senator, wherever you may be, Eric. He's tall enough. He's usually not too hard to find. And Bernie Moreno. Is Bernie here?
Yes, sir.
Where's Bernie? Hi, Bernie. What a job, right?
Absolutely.
So how's the race going in Ohio?
You're very popular there, and you'll drag every Republican
I
across the
hope
finish
so.
line.
Well, I love Ohio. We won by a lot, but you ran an incredible race. It was.
A big assist.
They weren't giving him a big chance, and he ended up winning quite easily, right? So
Thank you.
It was great. We're also pleased to be joined by Representatives Lisa McClain, Jody Arrington, and Jody. Where's Jody? Jody?
President.
You're doing a great job, Jody.
Favorite budget chairman.
Andrew Garbarino, Laura Lee, thank you. Riley Moore, a newcomer who's doing really well. Guy Reschenthaler, Derek Van Orden, as well as Angel Sister Chris Story, you know that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And we appreciate it, Chris, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
For more than, thank you very much, appreciate it being here. Gone through a lot. For more than 100 days, congressional Democrats tried to block all funding for the Department of Homeland Security in a reprehensible attempt to throw open the borders of the United States of America. They want to drag us straight back to chaos and crime of the crooked Joe Biden administration, one of the most corrupt administrations, probably the most corrupt ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we're not going to let them do that. I have to say that Washington just had some crime numbers out, and it's the lowest number, best crime numbers we've had, they say, in 58 years. So we went from being a crime-ridden city, our capital, being a crime-ridden place, to being among the safest cities in the country. I'm so happy. And you're big beneficiaries because most of you live here. You hear all the time, the press, the media, and even actually some of the media. A couple of people that I would not suspect, a couple of people truly treat me unfairly, but they came up and they thanked me because it's so much. We have a safe city now. We also have a beautiful city. We had 22 fountains. Every one of them didn't work. One of them, probably the best was one that hasn't worked for 50 years. That was about the best. They've all been out of commission for 50 years or more. Can you imagine that? They were graffiti strewn, grass growing through the cracks, and they were in terrible shape. And all 22 have now been opened, and the most magnificent possibly of all, the one in front of Union Station is beautiful. You see that? It was all graffiti all over the place. We, through a lot of work, we got it looking maybe better than it was the day they put it in. But the one that they're all talking about is the almost 2,500 foot long, that's taller than any building in the world, actually. There's no building that's 2,500 feet tall, I don't think. But it's like twice the height of the Empire State Building, as an example, and much wider. So we just got that open last night. We went to do it before July 4th, and it is incredible. It's called, it was originally called, 1922 it was built, it was called the Reflecting Pond, or the Reflecting Lake, some people called it. But it was supposed to be a reflection. It never worked from 1922 because it was stone on the base, and no matter what, it always leaked because you have stone and you have lots of crevices. We have nice stone out there, but if you go between the stone, it leaks. And so it never really worked very well. And it was a bad color. It was gray. It's concrete and stone, so it was gray. And I had the idea, along with some great people that worked for us. Doug Burgum was fantastic. His group, Greg, everybody. And we worked very hard. But it was going to cost $400 million, and we did it for about $10 million. It was going to take 4 years to build, and we did it in like a month and a half. And we would have had a construction site out there for years, and it wouldn't have worked when they built it. So when they told me what they were going to do, I said, that's not a good idea. So I built many swimming pools as a builder. I built hundreds of them. And I got one of our contractors, I had him take a look. And he said, oh, we can do a great job. If you could just give us a decent surface. The surface was inside, so we sandblasted the surface. We fumigated it. We took out 11 dumpsters, big dumpsters, full of garbage. It was all garbage, and some of the garbage was there for years. It was all disgusting, and it smelled. And anyway, we took 11 dumpsters of garbage out with shovels. We had a shovel inside of what's called a pool or a lake, and got it clean. We then fumigated it. We then sandblasted the entire thing. We washed it, cleaned it, scrubbed it, sandblasted it. Then we gave it a test, then we rinsed it out, and we gave them a beautiful surface. And then they put a swimming pool topping, but industrial strength. It's industrial strength. It's used for tanks and lots of other things to hold water. And we worked out the ratios of expansion and contraction because, you know, believe it or not, when you have something that's 2,500 feet long, there's tremendous expansion. And who would think of this? Only person that does it, like me. And they have a lot of expansion and contraction. So when we're putting the surface down, would leave areas that can expand and contract a little bit because it expands over 1.5 feet. Can you believe it? So I would have ripped it apart. So we left areas of expansion and contraction. We were testing it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It works great. And we just opened it last night, and people are going wild over it. So it was going to cost $400 million, and we did it for 10, probably 10, if you take away a couple of things. We did a much bigger job than originally planned, because once we put that in, it looked so good. The sidewalks outside didn't look good anymore. You know, they looked like they were in good shape. But when you do something new in this business, you do something new, the thing that you thought were good, you save it. So we ended up sandblasting, steam cleaning and sandblasting the sidewalks around it. And we had a lot of areas that were in bad shape. We had to fix them. We patched them, and you can't even see the patch. We have granite surrounding the pool, and the granite's great, but it was filthy, dirty, disgusting. And it was broken in some cases. We were able to carve out pieces from other pieces that were identical and put them in, and you can't even see the seam. And it's like a beautiful, it's in better shape than it was when it was built. I told you, from 1922, never worked because it always leaked, because it had a stone base, the water leaked through the stone. So we're very proud of it. It's going to be great. Now we're doing a new surface on the World War II fountain because the surface is so bad. And that'll be done during the next we're going to start it in a week or so, finish it very quickly. But we've done a great job. And the city everyone's coming up to me saying, the city is so beautiful. So we have 22 fountains that none of them worked. The the earliest, I'm telling you, it's 50 years. For 50 years, some of them haven't worked for 100 years, but we have fountains that were not working and were disgusting and dirty, and they're all beautiful now, every one of them. We also took care of a lot of the monuments, not fountains, but monuments, and they're all in good shape. Some of them are being finished up now, and it's incredible. And my goal was to get it all done along with Interior and others that worked with us to get it done before the July 4th date. July 4th was a very important date, so that was the date we looked at, and we did a hell of a job. But everybody's looking at that reflecting pool. They can't believe it. Reflects. We used a dark blue. It's called American flag blue. I wanted to go light, but they said, sir, light doesn't reflect. And light shows leaves and garbage, if garbage. One man said, sir, when you leave, it'll be strewn with garbage again. And you don't want that. See, when I'm here, it'll be perfect. But when I leave, I said, you're right about that. You're probably right, depending on who's president or who's running it. But it's really beautiful. It's something for you to see. It's incredible. It's the longest pool in the world by 3 or 4 times. It's really pretty amazing. That's where Martin Luther King made his great speech. And they say he had 1 million people. And I made a speech there for July 4th a few years ago. And they said, and I was packed. And they said, I had 25,000 people. They said he had 1 million. But when you look at the picture, I said, well, wait, the people are even tighter at mine. I had more people than him, but they said I had 25,000 and he had 1 million. But I'm not going to argue with Martin Luther King because I like that. But the Secure America Act provides $38 billion to ICE, $26 billion to Border Patrol to ensure these critical law enforcement agencies have the necessary resources to do their jobs, protecting our borders and getting criminal aliens out of the country. And starting on day one of my administration, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border people out of this country. We got them out. I'll give you an example. In Washington, over 5, I don't even know if you know this, it's not just policing. You have criminals, you have career criminals. There's nothing you can do to make them nice. They're tough people, they're bad people. Some of them had records, 22, 23, one had 28 arrests and rough arrests for murder. And we took out almost 5,000 people out of Washington, D.C. And if you remember, so 2% of the people create 91% of the crime. When you hear that number, it's great. I love that number because you can handle 2%. That's right. If it's 91 create 91, that's no good. Too many people. But 2% of the people, and we took 5,000, almost 5,000 people out of Washington, D.C. They'll never come back. In addition, the National Guard, and we worked with the police department, law enforcement was great. And we have a very safe city. Everyone's going out to eat now. Restaurants were all closed. They were all closing. The few that were open were closing. And now you can't get a restaurant in Washington. Everyone wants to have a restaurant there. It's a whole different. So it's something we're very proud of. New Orleans, the same thing, by the way. It's a little earlier in the process. But if I got a call from your governor, I got a call from Steve. And they called me together, actually, and they said...
Safest Mardi Gras?
They said, we've never had a Mardi Gras like that. They had the lowest crime they've ever had in the history of the Mardi Gras, which has been going on for a long time. They usually, Steve said, they usually have numerous numbers of murders. They had none, but beyond murders, I heard it was the best you've ever had. Right?
It really was. A great Super Bowl, too. That you were at.
And Memphis, and that's going to be great for the Super Bowl, because we'll keep it that way. I think you're bidding on the Super Bowl coming in
2031.
Yeah, and it's going to be, now you can really say it was a safe city. And the other one is Memphis. Crime is down 77%. Can you believe it? People are calling me up, friends that were leaving Memphis. They were all leaving, and now they're staying. And the governor's, everyone's thrilled. It's amazing. And if they would call me for Chicago, we'd straighten out Chicago so fast. We'd straighten out New York fast. We'd straighten out Los Angeles fast. We do it really well. And part of it is you have to get the really bad ones. You have to get the career criminals out because they'll hit you hard, and they ought to get rid of, by the way, cashless bail. You ought to do that as soon as possible, where Mark Twain?
That's right.
Where they walk in, they commit a crime, they go out, in the afternoon they commit another crime. And sometimes those crimes are murder.
Right back on the street, that's right.
Cashless, I'll tell you what, cashless bail was a tremendous help to criminals. It's one of the greatest things that ever happened to a criminal. And they ought to end it. In every city, they ought to end it. Chicago, New York, LA, they ought to end it. Starting on day one of my administration, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent open border in the world. We had the most unsafe border, I believe, anywhere in the world. And the numbers came out 2 days ago that for 11 months, not one person came into our country illegally through the southern border. We had 25 million people come in over a 4-year period. We have it good. And nobody tries to come in. All the caravans, I came up with the name caravan. You'd have 25, 30,000 people coming up. And they'd pour through the border. You've seen the scenes where they're knocking over the fences. A very, very bad, very dangerous situation. We don't have them anymore because they know they can't get through. So when they know they can't get through, they don't come. And a lot of lives are saved. Women were being raped on the journey up. They were being raped in numbers. 25, 30% were being raped coming up. You don't have that anymore because they don't come up in caravans anymore because they know they're not going to get through. So starting on day one, we took the most dangerous and unsafe, violent, open border in the world, and we created the most secure border anywhere in our country, probably one of the most in the world. I believe it was the most insecure and unsecure border anywhere in the world because there's no country, even a third world country, that has a situation like that where you'd have criminals just walk across totally unchecked. They had it wasn't Biden, he didn't know what the hell was going on. It was people that are radical left lunatics who were very smart, very violent, very vicious, politically vicious. And they allowed this open border policy where millions of people came into our country, unchecked, unvetted, people from jails, drug dealers, people from mental institutions. Jails and mental institutions from all over the world were emptied out into our country. And we've got a lot of them out. We have a ways to go. It's very tough with the courts because the judges have been very terrible. They've been terrible. Very sad. But we're fighting our way through it. We have made this in fact, we've made it a country that, as you saw last month, they said we had the lowest murder rate that we've had in 125 years. Think of that. And that's despite the fact, because we got a lot out, but we do have more. We had 11,888 people come into our country who committed a murder. 50%, more than 50%, created more than one murder. Think of that. So you had people coming, I think seven murders. We allowed them into the country. We got most of them out. In the last 12 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States. We cut the flow of fentanyl across our border by almost 60%. Think of that. And by the way, coming in by sea, 97%. And we're looking for the 3% because we think they're among the bravest people. Real smart. We cut them down, right, Mark? Yes. We cut it down 97%. And now I hate to tell this to Mexico, but we're now focused on coming in by land because the sea was tougher. A lot was coming in by sea, a much bigger percentage than anyone would know was safer for them. It used to be said not safe anymore. But with 97% down coming in by sea, by ocean, by water, and you see what happens to them, and they don't do it a second time. They were totally unchecked. When they did capture somebody, they'd bring them in, they'd book them, and then let them go, and they'd go, and they'd be back on their boat the following night. So we're doing a great job. In the last 12 months, the numbers have changed in this country like nobody's ever seen before, but 0 illegal aliens have been admitted. And that's made by largely Democrat people. Those lists are made. And I find it hard to believe when I say 0. There must have been some, but they say 0, and It's very close to zero. It's hard to believe. You look, they used to have that certain areas on the other side of the wall. I built over 1,000 miles of wall. Without the wall, you couldn't do it. But I built over 1,000 miles of wall. We're building more now in certain areas where you need it. But nobody's ever seen anything like this. They had plazas where you'd have thousands of people standing in those plazas. They actually made them out of concrete because the land was so disgusting and dirty, and it was so muddy and horrible. So they put massive concrete plazas on the other side for people to wait getting in. There's nobody on them. There's nobody. They took a picture this morning. There was nobody on any of the plazas. They have 4 of them, big ones, where they come and stand by the thousands. There was nobody on the plaza, so it's really amazing. I want to speak about it in my speeches. I made a speech last week, which is really wonderful. Wisconsin.
That's right.
And I wanted to speak about the great job I've done on the border. And my people said, "Sir, nobody cares about that." I said, "What do you mean?" I got elected on that twice, actually, because I got elected the first time in 2016. And after I left, it became horrible, horrible. Second time was far worse. What it was in 2024, it was so bad, far worse than 2016. 2016 was like a pleasure trip by comparison to what it became. It became worst in the history of the world. I don't think there's ever been a border where 25 million people came across, all unchecked and unvetted. You can never let that happen. We can never let that happen, what happened to our country again, because no country can stand it. No country could have withstood what these people. We had a border czar who never saw the border. We had a border czar who never called, never once, the people that were giving good paychecks to. They never called up ICE. They never called up the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal people, by the way. She never once called them. She was the border czar for 4 years, almost 4 years, and she never went to the border, and she never called up. I used to call them all the time, Paul, Brandon. I used to call them all the time and say, "Hi, how we doing on the border? Sir, we're doing okay." But they're great people, amazing people. She never called them. We had the worst border, I think, of any country in history. No third world country would allow people to come into their country like that. So the bill provides crucial funding for domestic law enforcement investigations and combating child exploitation, continuing our work to restore law and order across our nation and to protect America's youth. We're so proud. We're so proud of Washington, D.C. and the National Guard, the job they've done. And we've worked with the Capitol Police. They're great people. I've gotten to know so many of them. Very simply, the radical left Democrats, and I'm going to use that term a lot because they're dumb. I mean, who wants open borders? Who wants transgender mutilization of your child? Who wants that? Who wants men playing in women's sports? They're dumb. They're Democrats. They have the worst policy of anybody. I watched that thug that's up in Maine. He's a thug. And they're trying to make excuses for him. I mean, he's worse than any human being that's ever run for office, probably. I don't know him. I don't want to say bad, but I just, look, I mean, nobody's ever had a record like that. And you'll have Schumer. He goes crazy over this or that, or Epstein. This guy. Why are they talking about him? He said, well, we don't know, but this guy's got a rap sheet. I've never seen anything like it. He's a thug. I know thugs. I had to deal with thugs. I built a lot of buildings. I dealt with the toughest people on earth. I dealt with worse than thugs. This guy's a thug. He's a low-level thug. And he's running to be a senator, to work with Eric Schmidt. Great, Eric will handle him, I think. To be with Barrasso, who the hell do we have to be with Rand? Now, Rand would be very interesting with him. Rand would figure it out, it'll put him away. But this is a thug. He's a cheap, no good person. And I watch these senators, the Democrats, and, well, we don't really know. You do know. He's as bad. I've never seen a person like that run for office. And the guy from Texas, different, but he's terrible too. He's terrible. These are radical left communists. But I watched this guy this morning, and he was so bad. He was so bad. He's a bad guy, just a bad guy. He must be laughing up his sleeve when he looks at these idiots going like Schumer, well, he's okay, he's okay. He's not okay. Can you imagine if the Republicans had him?
Oh, my God.
How about if we had him, John? So,
Wouldn't let it happen.
well, I think, I really believe it. If it meant losing the Senate, you would not let that happen.
Correct.
It's just a terrible thing. I mean, I watch it happening. It's unfolding. It's really history because there's never been a guy like that that's ever run for office. And at any level. I don't think at any level. And the excuses, they come up every day. Somebody comes forward with really proven stuff. Even his business, you know, he's not a businessman at all. His parents supported him. Guy's a loser. Other than that, he might be a very nice guy. But very simply, the radical left Democrats and I look forward to the day when I don't call them Democrats anymore. And I won't if they do their job. If they want to stop crime, if they want to lower taxes, if they want to do the education, the good things. There's so many things we can do together. I look forward to the day that I don't call them Democrats anymore. And there'll be that day, I think, I hope. But they're in Congress and they voted with the cartels, the terrorists, the gang members, the drug dealers, the human traffickers, the child predators. And our great Republican majorities voted to protect law-abiding American citizens. I mean, they voted to raise your taxes. They voted for men in women's sports. They voted in favor of men participating in women's sports. It's ridiculous. They voted for the transgender mutilization of your child. They voted for all these things. They voted for open borders. So bad. One of the worst things that's ever happened in this country. Hardest thing to cure. Because we had 25,000 people. Remember this, when countries, because countries set those people up, when countries put people into a cartel, through the cartels, they put them into a whole group of 10, 15, 20,000 people that come in. They're not giving you their best people. They're giving you people that they don't want. Yeah. And they're sending them into and the Democrats voted in favor of that. It's really a shame. And it's so bad for the country. You'd almost think they hate the country. Because they're not stupid people. You can't cheat like they did. And look at the election in California as an example. After a week, they determined that the kid who's leading and had all the mojo, all of a sudden he doesn't make the runoff. And then I hit them hard on that, but I started talking about Steve Hilton, who's a fantastic guy. And I saw them say it was going to be 2 weeks before they knew. And I started hitting them. It's going to happen to Steve Hilton, too. You got to watch. And they approved Steve Hilton very quickly. They didn't want it. There was too much heat on him. The only reason he got approved, he had all the votes he needed, probably to be first place. But the only reason they approved Steve Hilton, it was going to be 2 weeks. They said it. And then they approved him that night because the heat was on them, because they're cheating dogs. And you can't have a great country when that happens. That's why Los Angeles, that's why that state is in such trouble. It's the most beautiful place, best weather maybe anywhere in the world, but it's in big trouble. So we're going to have a tremendous success. The people alongside of me are amazing people. They're amazing people, every one of them. I know every one of them. They're amazing people. They love the country. They want to do right for the country. And if you have any questions, please, let's go.
Mr. President, you posted this morning about Iran. You said that they've taken too long to get to a deal. I want to make sure I quote you correctly. You said that now they will have to pay the price. Yeah. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
Resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that. You know, they shot down a very incredible, actually an incredible machine. And at first they said they didn't do it, then they admitted they did. It was sort of easy because we have the bomb. We actually have the bomb. We got very lucky that bomb didn't explode. That bomb was lodged in the helicopter, it didn't explode. It was on fire, but it didn't explode. Those two guys, they knew how to fly, but they got very lucky. And then we had the unmanned boat going very, very fast at speeds that you wouldn't want to go. That's why it's unmanned, I guess, because nobody can go in that. But they rescued, so both people are, fortunately the pilots are okay. Now look, I've been working with Iran for a number of months. and they should sign their deal. It's a good deal. It doesn't give them the right to have a nuclear weapon. In fact, it totally prohibits them from ever having a nuclear weapon. And it was just tap, tap, tap. I don't know what they're doing. So they then shot at our helicopter, very expensive helicopter, by the way, but much more importantly, the two men, fortunately, they're okay. But an amazing rescue. If you ever get a clip, you won't believe the rescue, how cool it was. The equipment we have. Look, we have the strongest military in the world. And I gave them a break at the request of Pakistan, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister of Pakistan are great. We stopped them from going to war with India. You would have had a nuclear war if it wasn't for me. But they became friendly to me, very friendly, and they're close to Iran, and they worked, and they still are working on trying them to do what's right. But we want a deal that's meaningful. We want a deal that works. We don't want to just have a Barack Hussein Obama deal, JCPOA, the worst deal. That was a path to a nuclear. It's the exact opposite. You know, I like on television, they say, oh, they should have kept that deal. First of all, it was over. It was a short-term deal. But that deal was a path to a nuclear weapon. This is a path against a nuclear. You can't have a nuclear weapon. His was a path to a nuclear weapon. They were developing, during his administration, nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, there'd be no Israel, there'd be no Middle East, and they would have absolutely shot at us. So we'll see what happens. But we hit them hard yesterday, and we're going to hit them again hard today, in case you miss it, in case you don't turn on your television set. And we'll see what happens with the deal. We were really close to a deal, but they keep tapping us along. They keep playing us for suckers because, you know what? They dealt with some very stupid presidents. I have to say that. I'm embarrassed to say it. Some very stupid people were sitting here. Yeah.
Mr. President, you mentioned the Senate race in Maine. Are you all in supporting Susan Collins? Does she have your full support and endorsement in her Senate
She does
re-election?
because she's a sane woman. She's not my best friend at all. These guys are. I get along well, but I have some. But she's a sane person. And she's a person that never missed a vote in many years. I mean, she's like had 10,000 votes. She had 10,000 votes. She never missed a vote. Unfortunately, because sometimes she voted against me. You know, look, she's a sane woman, and she's a respected person. Maybe a little different ideology than me, but this guy is a thug. He's a fake thug. He's a phony. I made a lot of money picking out phonies. He's a real phony. He's bad. He's a bad person.
Mr. President, are you going to go back to attack, or are you thinking of attacking Iranian power plants and bridges as you?
Well, I'm not going to say that to you, but I can do that. Look, I could knock out. We have the most powerful. I built the military with these people approving it. They approved numbers that nobody would have ever thought we would have been. But we built it. We gave a lot to Ukraine through Biden. He gave a lot of money, a lot. But we're in great shape. We have a lot of storage capacity, but he gave a lot. And if you look at what's happened, when I left, our cupboards were full. He gave it. Now I sell it to the European Union, and they give it to Ukraine for the most part. But we have the strongest military anywhere in the world, and sometimes you'll have to use it. And we have to remember, and when people hear this, Iran very simply cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't. And they've agreed to that. All they have to do is they have to start signing a paper. It's fully negotiated. We have a fully negotiated, but they're tapping and tapping. And I say, all right, let's give them a couple of more days. They're tapping because it's a meaningful paper. They know when they sign that paper, it's meaningful. The Obama deal, JCPOA, one of the worst, one of the dumbest documents I've ever seen. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, when are you meeting with tech executives about the government taking stake in AI companies, and what could this partnership look like?
About AI? Well, I can say this. We're having a meeting with them. It's an amazing industry. It's bigger than any industry anyone's ever seen. We are leading China by a lot. And, whoever leads that is going to really lead the world to a large extent. That's how big it is. And I'm going to have meetings with the top 12 or 15 executives very shortly. And we're talking about giving back something to the public. And if we do that, the public will become very rich, the people in our country, because that's the kind of money we're talking about. And I think they'll do that, and I think it'll make it very popular.
What would you like to ask? Thank you, President. I have two questions. First of all, Turkish President Erdogan keeps threatening Israel. Do you think there is a chance of a conflict between Israel and Turkey, and will you sell after?
I know a lot of you like to see the reporters, so I'm going to switch to Fox so you can see the reporters. It's going to jump backwards a little bit and catch up, but at least you'll be able to see the reporters.
Become very rich, the people in our country, because that's the kind of money we're talking about. And I think they'll do that, and I think it'll make it very popular.
What would you like to ask? Thank you, President. I have two questions. First of all, Turkish President Erdogan keeps threatening Israel. Do you think there is a chance of a conflict between Israel and Turkey, and will you sell after 35 to?
Well, as you know, he's a very good friend of mine. And we've worked very well together. I like him a lot. I'm not supposed to say that because the press will say, oh, he likes Erdogan. No, he's a hell of a leader and a strong person, very strong person. I haven't heard that at all. If I did, I'd call him, and I think I'd make sure that things were fine. I don't think that will happen with Turkey. Not as long as I'm president, because he respects me and I respect him. But beyond that, we have a good friendship. So, we'll see.
And my second question, that's my second question. Besides peace in the Middle East, what do you wish yourself for your birthday?
For my birthday? Well, I'll go a step bigger. Peace for the world, okay? Peace for the world. Middle East, yes. Peace for the whole world, yeah.
Mr. President, there is a New Jersey Democratic congressional nominee over in the 12th District. His name is Adam Homily. He has a connection to the blind sheikh. Yeah. And I was wondering if you could get your thoughts.
I think it's terrible. Okay? I think it's terrible. I've seen it. I mean, he was more, now he's trying to sort of say, yeah, I sort of knew him. He didn't know him. They were very good friends. And you look at you go back and look at what happened during that period of time. He was a witness at the trial for him. He was a positive witness for him. He said the most glowing things. The guy knocked down the World Trade Center, admitted that he knocked down the World Trade Center. I think it's another one, if you look. I actually think the one in Maine is worse, because he's just an outright pig. He's like a pig. I watched him a couple of times. He's like a pig. That's what he reminds me of. I come up with good names for people. I don't want to stick him with that one, although I think pigs would be very upset about it. Go ahead.
Mr. President, July 1st is coming fast. How confident are you that you'll be able to renew the USMCA, and what more do you expect from Canada?
Well, I'm not looking to renew it. I don't, I made the deal. And the primary reason I made the deal is that NAFTA was the worst trade deal I've ever seen. Yeah. And I made it better, but I had the right to terminate. And, with NAFTA, we didn't have the right to terminate. I had to get these senators to approve that deal. That was a tough thing, Congressman, too. NAFTA had no termination. So, I've never said this before, but I'll tell you what my thinking was. NAFTA was a disaster for our country. The worst trade deal ever made, by far. They had typos in, okay? And they were supposed to correct them. And they never corrected them when they were signed. They knew there were typos. And there's a process for that. You state your claim and, you get a change. They had typos on percentages. Or maybe somebody wrote, and that was for years. They never ran, they had horrible, all against us. So it probably wasn't typos. NAFTA was the worst trade deal we ever had. USMCA did one thing that I loved. After 6 years, it comes up for renewal. I don't know that I'm going to renew it because, to be honest with you, the United States does much better. Hey, we don't need anything that Canada has. We don't need anything that Mexico has, but they need everything that we have. And they have to treat us better. With Mexico and Canada, we have trade deficits. We should have surpluses with them. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything that they have. So the primary thing that I got, it was a much better deal than NAFTA. much better. It was sort of a good deal, but it was a great deal for one reason. It gave the right to terminate, and who would have thought that I was, they just didn't want to have it during the 4-year period when I was president. So now they made it so that I wouldn't be president, and because they rigged the election, the second election, as you probably hear and probably know, most of you know that happened, and now it's been proven, and it will be proven as time goes by even more so. We have things that you won't believe. When we release the full files, you're not going to believe how crooked the second 2020 election was. But who would have thought that it comes due in my term? I mean, this was, thank you very much. So it was very important that we be able to do that. So we're talking to them. We'll see if we do something.
Mr. President, just before we came in here, you posted about Bill Pulte and that he'd be starting the job early. You said he's going to be downsizing the DNI. Can you talk about your
Well, yeah, people have wanted that downsized for a long time. Many people don't want it at all.
Does that mean
a lot of people thought it was a duplication. Yeah, a lot of people thought it was a duplication. He's done a great job at Fannie Mae, and you take Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the value of that has increased so much since I've been in charge. I had the right to sell that, and in my first term, a group came to see me wanting to buy it, and they offered me exactly 10% of what it's worth today. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to look foolish when they flipped it a year later for hundreds of billions of dollars more. So I kept it. And I put him in charge as soon as I got here, and he's done an amazing job. Could be worth $1 trillion.
That's a pretty different portfolio, though.
Well, it is, I know, but smart people are smart people. I always say I'd rather have smart than experience, but experience is good too. I would say this, he's going to be there for a short while we pick somebody else. We're interviewing 5 different people. They're all very good, very different, and we'll put somebody there. But people want it downsized. The senators and the Congress people, I think everybody wants it downsized, and many people, I think, and I won't speak for Todd, but and I'm not sure how Todd feels, but by the way, he's great. I hope you people have given him an easy run because he's very busy. He doesn't need stupid people saying, why didn't you get a higher mark at a certain college? Because he's highly educated. He was a great student. He's great at everything he's done. But how come he got a B+? See, they'll go after him for getting a B+ instead of an A, but the other guy can be a thug and let him run. He's okay. He's fine. The one thing about him, it's great, because every time they bring something up, he's worse than anybody that we've ever seen. And I hope the Republicans are going to use him as your standard bearer when they say that, gee, yeah, Eric, we don't like the way you dress today. It's unacceptable, right? And then all you have to do is point to this thug that they're trying to put in. So pretty much that's the way it is. He's going to do a good job. He's going to be there for a very short period of time. He will be superseded and replaced by somebody that's going to have the job permanently. Okay?
What do you think of the Democrats saying they'll hold up the...
I don't care what they say. Democrats. They're not Democrats. They're Democrats. They're dumb people, yeah.
You need their votes.
Then I guess something's going to happen. No, we can't let them extort us. I told the guys today, we can't let them. They've done it on numerous occasions. I said we can. What we're signing today has been amazing, but they tried to extort us, and eventually, and they were losing tremendous support because they're extorting on law and order, and they can't win on law and order. People want law and order. They don't want crime, and that's essentially what they were doing. And ultimately, they could not take the heat. But we can't let them extort.
Mr. President, it starts tomorrow. And
what starts?
World Cup.
Yeah.
Soccer World Cup, football.
Most successful World Cup they've ever had.
Exactly.
They've never sold tickets at that level. They've never sold that many tickets so quickly. It's amazing because you don't think of soccer. We use the word football, soccer, right? But you don't think of soccer in this country. It's the most successful. I spoke to Johnny this morning. He's fantastic, and he's the boss. He said there's never been anything close to what's happened.
But because of the success, some people are afraid that it's going to be harder and harder to get visas to come from outside.
Well, we're working on it very closely to make sure the right people come into our country.
concerned?
I will.
I will. Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it.
for
The numbers were
Republicans
great.
to try and hold
You know what I really love?
Senate?
I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be, we hit the best economy we've ever hit. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all of them. I had Todd in the room. I said, the one thing we have to do now, we had just hit the highest stock market in history, highest 401ks in history. Everything was going well. And I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon. We have to go and attack. So we hit them with the B-2 bombers, which took a lot of courage. It was totally successful. We buried it, very hard to get. But now we had to make the second move. And I said, you know, the bad part is the stock market will go down by a lot based on predictions of experts, like 25%. And it was worth it. To me, it was worth it not to have a nuclear weapon. And the other thing is that oil would go to $250 a barrel. It's at 85, and which is pretty amazing. And here's the key. We just hit today another stock market high. 74 in my short time here, 74 days we hit stock market all-time historical highs. Nobody can believe it. The Dow, the S&P. S&P was at 7,000. They said in 4 years, maybe 5 years. It will never hit it during the term. It was too much. I hit it in my first year. I hit on the Dow, it was 50,000 was an impossible number. They said 5, 6 years out, you'd hit. Well, I hit it in my first year. And now I get everyone in the room and say, congratulations, but now I'm going to take it down a little bit because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And they all agreed with me, Todd, you remember. Everybody agreed. And we took a little journey down to Iran. We first stopped off at Venezuela, by the way. And we have paid for that war many, many times over. And we have great relationships with the people of Venezuela. We get along with them great. It was a great success. It was a one-day war. It was really, to be exact, 48 minutes of fury. And it was over. And Venezuela is doing great. Relationships with the people are great. It's become a happy country, believe it or not. I mean, it's become a happy country. And we're taking out millions of barrels of oil from Venezuela. And then we went to Iran. And essentially, we've done the same thing. It doesn't look as pretty, but there's no Navy. 159 ships at the bottom of the sea. There's no Air Force. All of their planes are blown up. Most of their drones are gone. Most of their drone-making ability is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. All of their leadership is gone, so they replaced it. All of that leadership is gone, so they replaced it. And that's the people we're dealing with now. And I think they're going to want to make a deal, but we're going to find out.
Inflation to come down between now.
Oh, when the war is over?
Yes.
It's coming down.
I know you can't.
It's going to come down like a rock. And again, we're taking out millions, which I'm just announcing today for the first time. But we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Millions of barrels. Every night we took out oil. But now I'm going to tell you because they just figured it out. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you. It was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so badly, but I didn't want to ruin it. But it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out. And that's why it's at $85, $90 a barrel instead of $250. But we have the greatest military in the world, the toughest military in the world, just the best in every way. Nobody even close. There's no military that's even close. I rebuilt it during my first term. I'm using it now. When this conflict is over, Todd said, please go into conflict, right? As opposed to the word war. He didn't like the word war, but It's sort of a conflict. It's a military operation. When it's over, you will see oil drop to where it was before. We were getting gasoline. Just before it started, I was in Iowa, and we passed gas stations, $1.85 a gallon. And we'll be back at those levels very soon. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so that was the president that just took a lot of questions and talked about a lot of different topics after he signed the almost $70 billion Secure America Act for immigration enforcement and funding. He talked about Iran, he talked about oil, he talked about the Maine primaries, the World Cup, and this is all, remember, on the heels of him saying today that Iran will pay the price in part for not only...
Fox cut it too quick. He actually signed the document. He forgot to sign the document at the end of the presser. So let me go to my other source, because after they started telling everybody to get out, then he's like, wait a second, we're not done yet. So what? Here, check it out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Joe is sign.
Wait, you guys.
They're the only ones. Yeah. See, Biden wouldn't do this.
No, he wouldn't.
He needed a machine.
That's the real deal right there.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Fox cut too quick. I was wondering, I'm like, he's talking to these people and he never signed the document. He just went in. You got any questions? And I'm like, dude, back up. You signed the document. And so just as they were kicking everybody out, I had the Fox feed on, and Fox just cut away, and Emily, what's her name, Compagno started talking, and you guys missed him actually signing the document. So I had to cut back to the other feed, rewind it, so you could see them actually sign the executive, or not the executive order, the new law that puts the money back into ICE, CBP, DHS, and everybody else. $70 billion. Some people had some questions earlier. We're like, was it already funded in the big, beautiful bill? Partially. This fully funds it all the way through Trump's presidency. Their worst effing nightmare. Complete nightmare. So what we're going to do here, since it's only noon, what I'll do is I'll cut here, go to lunch, let you guys go to lunch. We'll come back with SV, and we'll have another show tonight. I'm thinking, I got to check with Robin and see what she's got planned, but I'm thinking probably about 6 o'clock would be a good time to jump back on. By then, we'll know what's going on in Iran, and we'll figure that out. But I just wanted to draw your attention back to something he said. It was right at the end with the big beaming smile. We've taken millions and millions and millions of barrels of oil out of Iran, and they didn't know it. And so nobody in the press asked a question, or he pretty much stopped after that. But the question should have been, A, where did you take it from? B, how did they not know? Did you have guys dressed up like mullahs pumping oil into a boat? I'd love to know the answer to those two questions. How did you get it out, and how did they not know it? But if you got millions, and he just had, because it's been so hard for me to keep that in for so long that we've been taking the oil, which is why the price is down to about 89, which is weird because I was watching the price earlier and I kept saw it falling. But at the same time, people are freaking out because he might start bombing again. But the oil price is way down. And so everything he's been telling you, it's going way down. He already knows. It's baked in. In fact, it's given him comfort. See, that's the part people aren't understanding. The reason why he hasn't rushed is because they've been taking the oil. They've already gotten it out, millions and millions. I can't even fathom how they kept that in, how nobody knew what was going on. Nobody in the press even talked about it. But he's already, we got the oil, so I know it's going to go down. How do I know? Because I got the supply. I don't know where they're storing it. I don't know if it's in the reserve. But if they've gotten millions of barrels out, plus Venezuela, there's no reason why oil isn't going to go way down. way before the midterms, if the midterms even happen. So in that regard, there's stuff going on we don't know. The media doesn't know. The Democrats don't know. Many of the Republicans don't know. So everything this guy is doing, he's doing it with his lips sealed, which means the other stuff that he's actually telling you, we don't know what the hell's going on. He may be sitting back going, I don't care if you do a deal or not. We're just going to keep taking your stuff. You guys can argue and, shoot little things here and there, but for the most part, we'll just take the valuable stuff and just keep taking it out. You can't stop us. Now imagine that. Imagine right now if we don't have to bomb Iran anymore and we just keep taking their stuff. Just keep taking all the oil. I don't think anybody's baked that in. Think about it. If oil drops or gasoline drops to sub 3, sub 2, and like he just said, $1.89 a gallon, are we going to care that they got a blockade and they're just taking the oil from Iran and Venezuela? Let them sit there and scream all they want. Notice when they keep doing these bombings, we don't hear a lot about, I'm talking about Iran, not a lot of casualties. They're blowing up buildings or fields or something. So I don't know. Maybe just bring the oil. We found out a way we can get that oil out of there. I would love to see what that operation looks like. Bet you would too. All right, so let me get out of here so we can come back on. Super chats real quick here. And it's funny because I was watching to see what Fox was going to do, and I'm looking at Fox, and they're just talking about the dude up in Maine. They just cut it. It's like nobody thought about what he just said. I want you to leave here, maybe go do your research, and like, how the hell did we take millions of barrels of oil over the last who knows what period of time? Where is it? Crazy. All right, Marcon, you combat violence with greater overwhelming violence, a disproportionate response. Pekovsky, I can tell you in the background here, SV and I were both working, so we want you to come back when you get your hat and tell everybody no, more so than that. I need you to email me a picture when you get your hat. Patty, I think part of the problem people have with data centers is a lot are, and this was what we were discussing earlier, a lot are being built in the country and bring them not only ugly to the landscape, but also super amounts of light pollution. Okay, maybe, possibly. I guess the question I have is, never mind, I'll just leave it there. Don't want to piss anybody else off. Quality Classics. The world is full of drama. Be mindful of what's happening, but keep your focus on improving yourself. You're the sole owner of your destiny. Absolutely. Pekovsky again. Thank you. Demon of Cybertron. Rand Paul bent the knee. Seems like it. A lot of pieces are moving. Tremendous amount. And hold on, let me just go to Brad Crane. He says Thune sucks. I agree with you. Yes, a lot of pieces are moving, and I think the most relevant statement with that is nobody knows. The media is just making stuff up and trying to cause problems. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. I love it. Absolutely love it. See you guys around 6, maybe 5. I'll let you know.